Hello, folks. Welcome to Irongeek cast number 72. Fill in, fill out. We weren't able to do a cast on Wednesday because I had some duties to do around Show Me Con in St. Louis. So we're doing this improvised stream here on Saturday night. It's going to be some useful. We may move some of the content we meant to do last Wednesday forward. As far as upcoming cons, I don't feel like pulling up that particular. Here, I'll pull up the list.
I got B-Sides Cleveland coming up here on the 22nd.
23rd, that's what I have. Hope I'm not
I'll
wrong.
be on there 22nd and 23rd. Yep.
Oh, yeah, 22nd's training, so I'm driving up on 22nd. YoCon, September 6th and 7th. And then DerbyCon 8th, October 3rd.
Yep.
7th.
I got it.
That's training.
I have an extra ticket to DerbyCon, and that is very unlikely that would come to me, but I do. So if anybody listening needs a ticket, please reach out to Adrian or myself. _@ _silo SIL0 _ on Twitter. And you know how to get a hold of Adrian. Let us know. The people that we know would come first, obviously.
Cool.
So how's everybody doing tonight? Started something early, so a few people can get on. We have to leave early. How's everybody doing?
Dude, I am super tired. Me and Jack and we had Nightshade on last night. We just had like a chat since we didn't have our last podcast. We just all got on the phone and was like just BSing because we wanted to talk, just chat, what have you. So Jack and I, we actually spent from 10 p.m. until about 8:30 this morning on the phone, just chatting about a number of different subjects. So I have not been to sleep yet. I've got 5 machines stood up here, so I'm doing some lab work.
Nice.
And just going at it, man.
Cool.
Hey, Darren was on the line too last night. He
Yeah.
cut off early though.
Yeah, you haven't slept since last night?
No.
How the fuck are you still running?
You know what?
It was almost 1 o'clock Central when I got off. I mean,
Yeah. No, Jack and I got off about 8:30
shit.
a.m. Yeah.
So here's the funny thing. I wasn't going to join that call because I looked at I'm like, okay, that's going to be like 3 a.m. for me here. And then I saw that you were up until 8:30 in the morning. And I'm like, wait, I could have woken up and joined your guys' call then.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Absolutely.
man.
Now, with just me and Jack, you got a little personal. So
Right.
him and I have some history that we share, so we kind of bonded over that. But yeah, it was an interesting call. We talked about a lot of cool things, right, Darren? With Nightshade, we covered everything from politics to history to just all over. It was a fun call.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, and you haven't been around for the last few weeks, so you've been busy.
Yeah. So I mentioned this to Adrian and Charles. I work for a company, and I also have a side company. In my side company, we got a big contract business to do pen tests, and they are across the U.S. So I've been traveling doing that, and I think the last couple of times I've either been in flight or on my way to a hotel, and just couldn't make the last couple of calls. But I'll try to make an effort in the future, because this is going to be a summer-long engagement, to make sure that on Wednesdays I'm available.
Nice. Well, at least you landed the contract.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's always something good.
Yep. How about you, Adrian? How's it been going? You were at a con?
Yeah, Show Me Con in St. Louis. Great time. Had some bad acid reflux though.
Oof.
Oh,
Well, I'm eating Popeye's chicken right now with hot sauce on it. So yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment.
glutton for punishment. Absolutely.
Ouch.
I got home this on Friday from my recent travel, and went to take the bike out, my motorcycle out, and put the key in the ignition, and nothing came on, no lights, nothing. So I've had to take the battery out, and my wife right now, since I don't feel comfortable driving in my condition, she took it up to a repair shop for me. They're going to charge it for me for free. I don't know what happened, if a fuse, the fuse for, because I've got a radio system on it, if the fuse was left in and that caused an issue, or if I left it off the tender, or my son happened to step on the tender. But yeah, it completely drained my battery. So that's going to be my project this weekend. Not tonight. Tonight after we're done, I'm going to hit the sheets. But tomorrow, I'll put it all back together again. So that'll be fun.
Nice. What kind of bike do you have? I think I meant, for some reason, I think you had a Harley.
Yeah, I have a Street Bob.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's still, my dad has an old man Harley. You know, he's got one of those big cruisers.
The fat,
like,
or the Fat Boy or whatever?
No, he's got like the Ultra Classic with the air conditioning and the heated grips and the navigation and the Bose surround sound and all that shit. And I'm like, no, I want a cool bike. When I turn 50, I'll get one of those.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been pretty fun. One of those things that, my dad and I, obviously I've talked about this before on the podcast, but he left us when I was 8 years old, and then we reconnected in my late teenage years, and we've since bonded, and we got over all of that, and now we connect through riding. So that's kind of cool.
Nice. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I might be trying, depending on how much time I have to spend for it, I'll probably, during the short month-long break that I get for summer between classes, go for the motorcycle permit test.
It's not hard.
Yeah,
it really isn't.
That's what
you sit in a parking lot. For anybody that wants to go out and get their license, the test, you want to take it. You don't want to take it through the city. You can take it through the city, but the city's got junk bikes. You can pay a little extra and go to like a Harley dealership. And essentially what you do for 3 days, and I'm being perfectly honest, is you hold a bike and you walk it up and down, turn around, and then walk it back. And then you have it in first gear, and you give it a little bit of gas, so it makes it a little bit easier to push this thing. And that's what you do for the first day. And then the second day, they've got it like they've got a governor on it, so you can't go that fast.
Right.
I think the most is like 15 miles an hour. And then you learn how to, while you were pushing it, you were going maybe 20 feet between lines. And you drive up to a line, you learn how to do a circle and come back. Now, I've ridden forever. I had a motorcycle before I had a license. So I knew how to ride it. I just wanted the license. And I happened to get, I have family, veterans in my family, so I got a good discount from Harley to take their classes at Harley. And I just went through the motions, and there was a sad, really sad moment. There was a man whose wife, I think they were on the verge of divorce, and they were trying to make some changes. And the wife was trying to push him into buying a motorcycle. This guy was 6'8". And the bikes we were practicing on were these small little, I think they were like 150cc small bikes, right?
Yeah, basically a moped.
And he was frightened of it. He was scared of it. And it was because he was too big for it, I think. And his knees kept hitting the handlebars and all that good stuff. And he came into the class, and there was 30 of us in there. And he comes in, and he just breaks down in tears. And he says, "I'm sorry, guys. I can't do this. I got to leave. I'm sorry." And tears are flooding down his face. And you knew he did not want to be doing this. You could see the whole time he was scared of the bike because it was so small. Mm-hmm. Probably likely because it was so small, and he was pushed into it because of his wife.
Why was the wife wanting to? I thought usually it's the opposite. The wife wants her husband to avoid things that might be dangerous.
Some women seek danger. They want to sit on the back of a Harley. And they want their husband to be the brutish man, high testosterone kind of biker type guy. And I think that's what she wanted.
Bad boy.
Nerdlove says the exact opposite.
Yeah, right.
You ever read Dr. Nerdlove?
Yes.
It's some pathetic shit, man. Basically,
it is.
It's written. It's always the man's fault, no matter what. Like there was a thing on there. It was like my girlfriend or my wife keeps going out with her boss on business meetings every night, just those two, and he'll spin a story like, "Oh, it's your fault for being jealous." No, fuck, that's some weird shit. No matter what, it's. And I've come to the conclusion: Nerd Love is not actually written for like male nerds. It's written for women to make them feel better and make them feel better about anything they do. It's okay.
Yeah, and in my experience, I've got a buddy who people call him a beta male. Nowadays, that he'd be a soy boy, whatever. He was a very liberal guy, soft-spoken, dressed like a hipster. He was a friend of mine. I love him, but he's got some work to do on himself. That dude never got girls. We'd go out to bars. They were attracted to high testosterone men generally. And I don't know if they can sense the high testosterone. They have to because of evolutionary purposes. And I'm not an expert in this, but he is a fairly good-looking guy. And every single time I would get the girl. Every time. Without fail. These guys who think that they're making an emotional appeal to these women, coming down to their level, this emotional understanding, and women, in my experience, don't look for that. There are very few on Twitter now and the blogosphere and that sort of thing that look for those type of men, and those generally happen to be high testosterone females, ones that they can push these guys around. But in my experience, girls like manly men.
Oh, yeah. In the private chat, I mentioned something about someone who was accused of sexual impropriety recently. And
yeah.
I don't know if the guy did something or not, but the kind of sex he was having with this particular woman who was a rabid feminist. I mean, a real man hater. She'd say shit like, the reason they don't call them garbage men anymore is because garbage men is a tautology.
It's a tautology.
Tautology is something which is itself.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I just can't believe that they would say that.
But this bitch, I mean the man in this case, said she's a great person. Don't spread rumors. It's not a fucking rumor. On her own blog, she said she had a sexual relationship with this guy and that involves safe words. Why would you have a sexual relationship with a woman like this that involves, it's just opening yourself up all sorts of potential problems. I don't know if he did something wrong or not. I have a he said, she said thing going on. Actually, he doesn't say much of anything, but I know she's a kook.
Yeah.
So I'm like, even if he didn't do something wrong, I'm like, he's showing incredibly poor judgment in hooking up with this particular woman.
I was about to say.
Is it a woman you know or a guy you know?
Only vaguely from Twitter, and the guy I only know by reputation.
Okay, gotcha. It's interesting to see when your friends go through something like that, and you see what your friends are made of, especially when you get as old as Adrian's a little older than I am, I think, but we're not too far apart. Once you get to our age, people change. The people you went to high school change. They become different somehow. You know, they lose whatever it was that made them cool and made you friends with them in the first place. And now you're sort of friends with them by default because you always have been. And yeah, those type of guys, man, I feel bad for them. These are the guys that call themselves male feminists. And no real woman wants a male feminist. This is the way it is.
And if they do, they're looking to be sort of like the dominators kind of thing.
They're going to be dominated, yeah, by a higher testosterone woman, for sure.
Yep.
I feel like
someone's fetish.
It probably is. It's probably a lot of people.
No, I can tell you for damn sure it is.
Oh, yeah, there's fetishes for everything. For sure. There are fetishes for this isn't a family show. Like
Yeah, no.
But there are fetishes for prolapsed assholes and gaping assholes.
Okay.
You know, if you can think of a deviant sexual behavior, there is a fetish for it somehow. For sure, there are women.
I really don't want to think about deviant sexual behavior. That sounds disgusting. Oh, you mean general deviant? Okay, gotcha. Never mind.
Yeah. That was beautiful. That's beautiful.
His is something that do with opening doors.
Yeah. The thing when I talk about prolapse, I remember there was this GIF when Lord of the Rings first came out, and Gandalf was sitting. Do you remember the pictures, Adrian, when it first came out? When Samwise and Frodo would be like basking in sun with Frodo laying on Samwise's chest or whatever. And do you remember those?
I don't really remember. I'm sorry.
Okay. There were memes that came out around that time about Samwise and Frodo being gay. Which, if you watch the movies, it's like, yeah, I could see it. I know they're not, but I could see it.
I just put one in the chat.
And Gandalf comes around and he yells at them and says, if I have to fix one more prolapsed hobbit hole, I'm gonna be furious or whatever. He's talking about them fucking each other.
Darren, that is an amazing GIF.
Oh yeah.
Screen share it real fast.
Did you find it?
I found something else, but it's a similar Lord of the Rings like gay Hobbit meme.
Okay, I haven't seen it in forever. In fact, me and my wife used to laugh about it, and then later on we had found it somehow. We were trying to look for it and we never found it again, but we both recalled it and remember it being funny as hell. There was a bunch of messages that was just coming through. Was that just to me or was that to all y'all?
I didn't get anything.
Like my phone or maybe Twitter just blew up. Oh.
I got so many messages, apps, and other things coming in, and people communicating in different ways. I really would like email. If you really want to get a hold of me, folks, email me.
So, do you guys know of a threat hunter that needs work?
Hunter.
Yeah, legitimate threat hunter. That is in need of work. Adrian, if you know anybody that you come across, I know you would know. I do it myself, but I'm not looking to move to this area. And somebody that I know is looking to recruit somebody that is a threat hunter. And it looks like she's offering a decent sum of money should I find someone, and I will split that with whomever helps me find that person. So Adrian, me and you could split a nice pot, and I'll tell you offline what that pot is, and it's nice.
There we go.
Nice.
All right, actually, let's look in the show notes and see what's actually in here that we have. Oh,
Yep.
I lost my show notes. Where is that? Where is that?
Well,
All right. Irongeek Cast feedback survey. Is there anything new on that to report?
Ricky.
That's more of a question for Ricky.
I'm sorry. Where is this? I'm looking at the show notes now.
Item 1.
What was the question? Item 1 was, the survey. Okay, sorry about that. No, I mean, I'd love more people to take the survey. We've got 10 responses. We've got hundreds of views on these videos each week, each time they go up. Please, folks, please, let us know how we're doing. Let us know if there's things we can improve on. All of that. There's questions in there. It takes you 5 minutes to complete. You don't have to fill out the text fields if you don't like to, although we'd appreciate it if you did. Adrian appreciates it a lot. It lets him know how to gear the show and how to direct the show. So it's something that's been helping him decide on, length of the podcast. He's been, cutting that down a little bit. And topics that we don't cover that you might want us to cover, that would all be interesting. And, if you listen to this, please, it's in the show descriptions. Please go and spend 5 minutes and fill it out. Adrian would appreciate it. I would appreciate it.
We all would, because then that can kind of give us a focus on what our research should be. Because right now, what our research kind of is the only one that's kind of focused on what their research is in terms of what's going in the show notes is Israel's stuff with the breach report every week, which he's been doing on a weekly basis. So if you guys want more of
Who's
that,
this? Who's doing that now?
Israel.
Oh, Israel. Yeah. I didn't want to step on his feet. Originally, I was going through, the Talos type stuff and some of the more threat response and reporting on that. It just, I'm sorry, I unplugged it. I unplugged my garage door opener, and my wife's wondering why she couldn't get in. Sorry about that. Sorry, man.
The breach report, you want me to move that up till Wednesdays when Israel will hopefully be here?
I would say so, yeah.
Alrighty.
So I think we all should take advantage of doing that. That stuff's not hard to find. People need to be educated about those topics.
I mean, I think if what we can do just as an idea for moving forward is each of us taking a specific area to look into as kind of like a segment of the podcast. And then we bring up discussion points in that topic and also discuss articles and discuss the article and what the actual thing is we're talking about.
Oh,
sure.
I found we copy paste from one place to another, highlight the number, and you can do a right click and say renumber. Again, that would help so it doesn't like one's really easy to copy and paste and have the numbers keep going from one podcast to the next.
All the way up.
Like, for instance, I'll probably keep doing more of the business side changes, since that's kind of been where my focus has been for the podcast.
Honey, I just did it. God, dog. Sorry, guys. I know I should have muted myself here, but we're debating this garage door thing now. Please go ahead.
All right. Well, the first thing here is Microsoft acquires GitHub for $7 billion. It's worth $7 billion?
I guess
7.5. Yeah.
7.5.
I'll
The
put
number
7.5.
kept changing.
That's that 0.5 is very important there. So that 0.5 in there.
Yeah.
Oh, 500 million. That's doesn't see that.
Oh, it is 7 million. Okay, for 7 million.
So yeah, so that number when I first put that in the show notes, the first number I saw, which was the day after Microsoft released that they were acquiring GitHub, was 2 billion, and then later on that day I saw 7 billion. So I'm like, wait, wait, how much are they paying for this? Because just what's going on? Anywho. Yeah, so earlier this week, Sunday night, I was talking with some people, and one of them brought up the fact that GitHub was just bought by Microsoft, and now the entire week has been just me hearing a ton of stuff about Microsoft's going to take over and kill everything, and GitHub's going to die. Woo! No, don't do it. And
like alternatives like GitLab or something.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. And I was like,
those projects you can fork your shit and take it someplace else.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. And I was like, or you could have set up your own. It would be a cool project, but they're not working. Like, it's not Microsoft itself is running GitHub now. It is GitHub is essentially a partner-ish kind of thing, or a subsidiary of Microsoft, and they will work independently. And the new CEO of GitHub, Nat Friedman, posted a kind of blog post to say what's going to happen. And the one quote that I have from him is that they will maintain the developers first mentality and will operate independently, which is the biggest thing out of that article, which is linked in the show notes and under point A of point 2.
So our developer listeners know that GitHub was competing quite heavily with Team Foundation Server in terms of version control and source code control, right? And GitHub was winning. GitHub was winning in that battle. Our company was actually switching over to GitHub to get away from TFS. And there's reasons behind that. And I'm not the professional enough developer to kind of go into the reasons why. It's been explained to me by our development teams as why they like the GitHub experience better than the Team Foundation experience. So great move by Microsoft to kind of grab this market. And I don't think they're going to change it all that much.
No, and that's the thing too, especially since they're going to operate independently from Microsoft. The same things that you're used to in GitHub and the same interface and just everything is going to stay exactly the same, except it's just now owned by Microsoft. And that was also something interesting too, that when I was reading it on why Microsoft did acquire it, was that they were using it to build Windows. And then I was like, wait. So they're not even using TFS. They're not using their own software. They're using GitHub. It's really, and it was interesting because I was talking with my dad about this, because he used to work in support for different IT companies, and he would be on calls with the Microsoft support guys for enterprise level stuff. And he was talking to them about some of their products they were using, and they were he was running into issues that they had never heard of, and he was like, "Well, don't you guys use this stuff?" And he's like, and they would say back to him, "No, we don't use that shit."
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Microsoft themselves saying that back.
Hey, for the time it existed, it was a good product. Oh my God, I can't remember the software name. It had replaced a versioning software that was the most horrible thing that Microsoft ever devised. TFS took over that and it revolutionized the way corporations do version controls, source controls, and then code escalations and movement between builds, QA, development, that kind of stuff, and then production. I forget the name of the software, but it was horrible. It was a nightmare. I had to work with it in my college years, and then when I started out as a developer, it was bad news. And then you have companies like GitHub that came around and made everything easier. So again, I just think it's a smart move by Microsoft to get back in the game. They knew their customers were moving that route. They knew that the developers that they had sort of harangued in to Microsoft.net, which is, I like it better than Java myself.
Yeah.
Or for what that's worth. As a security guy, I'm sure the developers listening take that with a high grain of salt, but I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it more than I appreciate Java. So whatever.
Yeah. So that was a fun little escapade to see this week.
Yeah.
Got a lot of differing opinions on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave my stuff there just because even if there's some bull with Microsoft being like, yeah, technically this is ours now. And it's like, well, cool. You can have all of my broken code.
Yeah. And you know what? People will hang on to TFS.
Oh, yeah.
They will wait until it dies and it stops getting patched and all that good stuff. I don't know how much more there is to say about it outside of younger developers have moved way beyond it. We're looking at Bitbucket and Bamboo and Jenkins for that kind of stuff. And
yep, I've been using Bitbucket with my companies with the company that I work for the last 2 years for software development, and it's great actually. I enjoy it more than using GitHub for large teams, but for personal projects and stuff like that, I use GitHub because that seems to be what it was built for and what it's streamlined for.
Yep.
And then also just putting stuff out open source.
I'm sure, Adrian, you use it for because most companies allow GitHub out. So
yeah, I'm sure sucking down tools, but that's about it. I know very little about software version control management and so forth. I mean, most all the code I ever write is like simple scripts, and if someone wants one, I just say, "Oh, yeah, here it is." I put it on my website, download it.
Yep. Companies typically allow PowerShell. Most companies don't do PowerShell logging. Companies allow access for most parts of the network out to GitHub. So you could do the simple PowerShell commands to pull down your tools and execute them in memory. And it's fun.
Could you imagine having like a Docker instance that you can just pull down onto a machine and just have your own configured machine on a victim? That would be awesome.
I have that in the lab. I don't know how it would. I'm sure someone has smarter than I have figured out how to make this work in a penetration. When I'm talking about bad actors, and I hate calling them that. I hate threat actors and bad actors because salespeople say it so much.
Criminal addicts. I started calling them criminal hackers.
Whatever they are, black hat, whatever. That they've likely figured out some way to do this. I'm still messing around with it.
Adrian, you probably play around with it in your lab. New ways to try to get in and evade some of the detection software and kind of confuse the blue teams a little bit. So I have played with setting up Docker instances. I've played around with setting up tail instances and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking into that for a class that I have to write a paper on something, and I think that's the subject that I'm going to go towards, both how to use Docker for offense and defense.
I need to come up with new research subjects. I also got some blog posts I need to get out there, but some of them aren't quite appropriate in certain venues, and I'm trying to get approval for some other ones. I got my article written up on how to get back financial and digital accounts after someone dies, or how to set things up if you think you're going to die soon, or just in case you're worried about it. What things to set up to make it easier for your family to get shit back.
Mm-hmm. There's a fairly good site for that. Goddamn, what is it called? But it is essentially for doing that. It's for handing over sort of escrow, your passwords and your this and that's, the things that you think are important to a significant other. So there's something out there. I don't know if your blog post is meant to expose services like that, or kind of.
I don't know enough about those individual services. And thing about services like that, I also don't. The ones I found some across some stuff, but I wasn't sure how long it's going to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah. Who knows? That's if you've worked with corporations before, and people listening have, one of the things you do when you buy software, especially from a smaller company, is you talk about, okay, what happens if you go out of business? What do we do with your code? How do we make sure it keeps up to date? Because we're investing capital into this project. And typically you'll put the code in an open source in escrow. So if the company goes out of business, now you own that software full and clear. It's kind of interesting. Hey, just real quick, while you say that, do you do writing on the side as a way to supplement your income?
No, I sometimes write for my own website, but that's been quite a while. And as part of my job, my day job, occasionally wants to write blog posts.
Okay.
No ideas.
I was talking to somebody who is fairly new to security, and they're also a fairly decent writer. And we were talking about ways they could supplement their income and sort of network a little better and how to get their name out there. And I was talking about, I think InfoSec Island takes open contributors. You submit your articles. I'm sure you're not paid at first, but there are sites like that, right? That you can write articles about whatever. And normally they're stupid. They are copy and paste of what somebody, they'll take a copy and paste of what Brian Krebs wrote and link to his article, that kind of stuff. But that improves their writing skills and can improve their presentation skills. So I'm always interested if anybody listening to this is somebody that does supplement their income through writing for some security blogs and security mags, I'd be happy to know about that.
Yeah, I'm trying to start doing write-ups and blog posts as well. Just set everything up and made a post about the next point in the show notes, because I've been following this case for a while.
I have had a number of blogs throughout the years.
And then I run across sites, and this cantankerous old man won't be listening to this call, I'm sure, this comment, but I really respect him. Crypt3.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he spoke at who I'm thinking of. Yeah, he spoke at CityCon this year.
Okay, yeah, he's a really nice guy, but he is a curmudgeon.
I got that impression. He's the one that does the InfoSec Krampus list every year, right?
Yep. Yeah, he does that.
Honorably mentioned, but then again, so did Aloria and McPussy. McGrew.
And he's the guy that will say something like, "Hey, if I follow you and you retweet this person, I will unfollow you and block you." And he is completely serious, because the guy's a genius. And
Wait, he wants you to, does or does not want you to retweet somebody? I'm confused.
It does not. So there's one guy that you and I both know, Adrian, and I've talked to him about it himself. I've talked to not Scott, but I've talked to the guy that he dislikes, and I asked him, "What's going on between you two?" Scott believes he is a 100% charlatan, and if you retweet the guy, he will disconnect you from security life. He will no longer be interested in what you say.
Oh, wait, who's Scott? That's
Scott's Cryptia, yeah.
Okay.
I believe. Goddamn, I'm going on now. What? Almost 36 hours of no sleep. I'm fairly sure that's his name. I don't want to out him, but I'm 99% sure his name is Scott. I don't want to give his last name because I don't want to out him. But if you get a chance to look at his blog, the guy writes about usually foreign policy as it relates to security threats, governments, and things like that. And I'll tell you what, man, people copy his work all the time. He's constantly being plagiarized, and he does only so much to call him out. Only in certain really maybe harmful cases where they have plagiarized him or making a lot of money, or they've written a book using his source material, where will he call him out? But generally, he gets pissed about it, but he's like, it's going to happen. It's on the web. But if you ever read his blog, the man knows his shit, and it's worth reading if you're into foreign policy as it relates to security, world governments, warfare.
Yeah, it's Scott, and apparently he's not private about it because he has his first and last name, and unfortunately he said Cryptia during his talk. So, yeah, he's not particularly private about it.
He was. I think he got hired by a organization recently where he actually had to put like a picture. Do you remember for the longest time he was like Gene Hackman from that one movie? Like he never used his real picture, and he tried to stay as anonymous as possible.
Yeah. His talk at Circle City Con was espionage in the modern age of information warfare.
Yes. Yeah. To know that type of shit, you've got to know your shit. A very interesting character. So that's cool. You got to see him talk. I saw
the round. I need to go back and watch. See, when I'm doing these videos, man, I'm usually running from room to room and got my head down. I watch so few of the videos I actually record, man.
Okay.
I need to go back and watch some of them, but instead I'm listening to political and social commentary videos on YouTube. So, yeah, I need to go back and watch the videos I make myself.
That's cool. I mean, you've been around long enough. A lot of these videos are for people getting into the industry and some people that really want to focus on a certain subject. I went to DEF CON 2 years ago. Maybe it was 3 years ago now. And there were talks just about social commentary, intersectionality within security, and I said, "Oh my God, where are we going? Where are we heading with this? There was probably 100 people there with some sort of purple, green, blue hair. I know you want to stand out. I don't know why you feel like you want to stand out, but okay. Nose piercings, tattoos, that kind of shit. Fine. Doesn't make you a security person, though.
Yep.
I'll leave it at that. So next one is a breach report.
No, that's for next week.
Oh, did he edit it so that we? Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me refresh
I
the
moved
page.
things out. See, cast number 3 is still in there, and we'll have to change the name since we just covered the Git tool origins shit. But yeah, I moved that up. So you will look at 72.
Okay. Did you see it? Did you guys start seeing my comments? Like somebody, and I was just being shitty and being a little bit of a troll. Someone said, question, how did Equifax need to institute change to better their security? And I'm like, answer, we do not know the inner workings. So the estimation is fruitless at this point.
Yeah, that was me. And after I read that answer just now, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I was trolling and I saw so many comments there, and I thought it would be funny if we got into the show and there was a bunch of like trolley type answers to questions. We could still stand for it, but I thought it was humorous.
Yeah,
Adrian could beat me later if he doesn't like that stuff. But
comment. I mean, I see stuff added at the bottom of the show notes. I don't know.
Too many damn topics. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who added that one. I added the one about Heterodox Academy because we've talked about it a couple of times on the show, but we really haven't went through it. And we have a lot of young listeners, college age, and I thought it'd be helpful. So let's hit the other topics, though. I don't want to get into that yet.
Yeah, I'll say this one because it has some. I added some Dutch to the title with this one. So, as the Dutch say,
bigoted people in the Dutch. Go ahead. I hate bigoted people in the Dutch. Wasn't that a line from Austin Powers?
Yes. It's been forever since I've seen that movie. But anyway, as the Dutch say, Godverdomme, Equifax committee leaders of technology and audit committees are re-elected, and those were the ones that oversaw the breach of 145 million individuals in the UK, US, and Canada. So essentially, this was a follow-up to something that I was covering a few months back, where at the end of the first quarter, the shareholders report for Equifax was saying that they were going to be electing new committee members or leaders for their technology and audit committees, as well as their governance committees. And the IIS, which is the company that was their proxy investigator for just that investigated why the breach happened and just things that should change within the organization itself on the business level, not so much on the security level. They pointed out 5 specific individuals that should not be reelected, and all of those individuals were individuals that were on the committees and leading those committees during the breach that happened in March of last year.
Mm.
So the new article that I posted, which actually I got some discussion from Jack and our favorite lizard on.
No.
What?
No.
Okay. Was they re-elected the same people that were there during the breach. So the same committee members are still there. So it's basically Equifax hasn't changed anything leadership-wise, which is kind of off-putting to the rest of the security community. Because so why I put the question there, I should have specified instead of just how does Equifax need to institute change to better their security, because I should have added onto that because without having any sort of change in their leadership. So,
and
yeah.
and that was the key part of it. They
I'll just
had
add that.
some warnings from their security team. Just about every breach we see, it comes out leaking that the security team had made them aware of X, Y, and Z. And they chose to ignore those warnings. And that's part of, if they have a risk strategy, that may have been part of their risk strategy is, okay, this is a high threat, but a low risk. I don't know. I don't know what their decision making was. But if the people making the decisions stay in place, it makes it a hell of a lot harder to change, except for the fact that now they've learned some lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Is Darren still on?
Yeah, I am.
Chime up, buddy, man.
Yeah, because you probably have more experience with this.
Not more.
Not more experience, just more knowledge in this sector of
yes,
credit card and financial information.
Well, I do have some because I used to work for their competitor Experian, and I think I commented to Jack on Twitter. It doesn't surprise me at all because this happened, because these companies are exceptionally cutthroat in how hard up they are for any kind of income. I mean, basically, I guarantee you the reason that they were reelected is because the board said, "Yeah, you're still making money for us. Good job. Yeah, get reelected." Just during my time working for Experian, I saw teams hired and fired as workload changed. So it's the fact that they're so cutthroat just does not surprise me at all.
They are cutthroat. I'm curious how much of that. What was this? This was an unpatched Apache box, essentially, right?
Apache struts, yeah, that's what hit them.
Yeah.
On the edge. So it was. They were patched up everywhere else. As far as I remember the reports from back then, and I didn't know when we were having this discussion, so I didn't go read up notes from the past. But I thought that they had a pretty strong vulnerability management program, but this one happened to get missed somehow. It was known, but they had delayed it for some whatever reason. They got hit.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, I work for a competitor. I didn't work for them, so I don't know how their vulnerability plan was. Experience actually wasn't too bad. I actually worked with some other InfoSec team quite a bit, and they seem to be pretty sharp at least. But the whole thing is, again, with the credit reporting agencies, we're not customers. We are the product. They're selling our data to creditors, to other companies like utility companies and shit like that, because they want to make sure that yes, we're worthy enough that we're not going to default on something. So our information is what they're selling. It's kind of like how Facebook sells our information to advertisers. Same shit, pretty much. Except it's a lot more personal. It's a lot more personal this time.
It's important to note, because we were talking about them holding back on patching the system. Oh crap, I think my timeline screwed up. Shoot, the timeline that I had on my post is totally borked now.
Are you Terminator?
No. It only took about a month after Apache released and notified everyone of the vulnerability and that there was a patch for it for Equifax or for the breach to actually happen. I believe so. Oh, sorry, about 2 months. 2 months for them to, from notification of the vulnerability to Equifax being pwned.
Yeah.
Okay, 60 days.
Yeah.
Well,
If you look at banks,
Yeah, there's
60
no.
days is a
It's nothing.
quick turnaround time.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the financial industry moves so slow.
Yeah.
One of the other ones around here, AIG, they're notorious. You know, the joke is you started as a contractor there. You bring a book for your first 3 weeks because you're sitting around doing shit all while they, provision your account and get your, hardware set up, all that stuff, because there's so much process and procedure they have to follow because of regulatory requirements, just because of general caution to their bottom line, shit like that.
Oh shit! I just it doesn't matter. I'm working in my lab environment with patched up Windows 10 machines, and own them at the exact same time with no detection
Oh, okay.
from a single machine. That was fun. I've not done that before.
Ding, ding. Wait, what?
Yeah, it was not automated either. So that was fun. Sorry,
Yeah, no
I
problem.
just saw it pop up, and I'm like, oh shit! I got session, 2 sessions. Wait, I got a session. Cool, no detection. Oh, 2 session. What the fuck?
What's also interesting to note about the actual vote itself was there was a very large resistance towards them being reelected. The committee leader of the governance committee had a 35.5% vote against him, where in typical board settings they would only have a 5% on average of a no towards reelecting someone.
So what you're saying is these higher ups are hard to get out once they're in.
Yeah, that, and also maybe that. Excuse me a second. And also maybe that there's some kind of a divide a little bit towards where the shareholders want or who they want in charge. And maybe some of those shareholders are like, yeah, we should definitely be looking more towards security and not having the same person in charge that maybe isn't going to change anything.
Cap, you've come a long way in the time that I've known you.
Thanks.
You are more sure of yourself. You are speaking. You're doing more research, and it's awesome. So
yeah.
credit for that.
Yeah.
Darren, your experience for somebody to go through something like Equifax did, and then have a vote where they essentially all agree to keep the same people on board.
Mm-hmm.
Are they doing it because there is a confidence level, first of all, in the management of the people, secondly, that they learned a lesson?
Learn a lesson? Probably not. What was the first part?
I'm not saying, do you think that they learned a lesson? I'm saying the shareholders think that, okay, they're going to know better how to secure it this time around. I don't know.
Well, for the most part, if you're investing in those kinds of companies, the shareholders probably don't give too much of a crap about are you securing it. They're probably giving more of a crap of are you going to make us money. I mean, yeah, if the security issues keep impacting the bottom line, then certainly, but that's clearly not been the case too much, at least.
Yeah, and and for the shareholders, the stock prices of Equifax have been back on the rise, so they're already almost back to where they were before the breach, and I think above maybe. But yeah, that was also a keynote in the article as well. I'd reached out to
Article about that.
Yeah, I reached out to one of my more business-focused security contacts that I know when I was writing up the article that I posted on my blog, and asked him what he thought about it. Yeah, more.
Magazine?
No. Just like he's more of
Oh, he
working
has a
with.
business focus. Okay.
Yeah, he is a business-focused security person. So he's working more towards working with C-suite people to make sure that security is happening and also progressing in the right way and always constantly changing and being on the bleeding edge. And when I asked him what he thought about it, because I've been showing him this stuff for the last basically the last year since the story broke, because I brought it to him the day it happened. And when I asked him about this, he said that he thought it was more of a case that at Equifax people really don't have an option of quitting the company per se. So the investors are the ones that are deciding who's there. So it may not even be that those people want to be there, which also scares me as well. But
when you say the people,
like
do you want to clarify who we're talking about? Management executives.
The committee leaders that were reelected, they're basically like top of the top almost. So not like C-suite level, but the ones like right below it, I believe. Depends on how.
So
yeah, they're they're like the middle manager before C-suite.
Yeah, the interesting thing about those folks that I've noticed in my career is they are one step away from that $2 million bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Time, you know, and they are putting their eggs in a basket. First, they've probably been at the company for a while, so they've built out, you know, some stocks. And they have that, and
I think you're breaking up.
Once you
Okay, cool. I thought it was me.
Oh. Sorry. Let me do this. So they built up equity in these companies, and they have some confidence of sorts that they will be the next in line to be the ones leading the company and getting those big bonuses.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, them being there a long time.
More.
What's up?
What's up?
Don't be so loud.
The three people that were reelected, they've been with Equifax since all the way back to 2007 with one of them, and the other two that were in the technology and audit committees. They've been at the company since 2008. So wow. They've been there for a decade and a decade and a little over a decade in one of their respects. So yeah.
So they're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah. And at the same point, I don't think that and this is from my limited experience in like development in software development for the last 2 years. We had a couple of issues at my company where stuff wasn't getting done or stuff was just working poorly, and we were putting out stuff that we were having to constantly maintain because of mistakes and shortcuts that were made. And we needed to change that stuff. That change didn't really come from the management. That kind of came more from the people in the company realizing, okay, we're screwing up. We have to figure out a better way to do this. And then we would sit down with management and make a plan of how are we going to do this. And we kind of had to change up our strategies in a couple different areas. So
you're learning from. That is a good step one.
Yeah.
Move forward as you grow in your career. You do want to partner with the business, and you do want to create something in the sorts of a risk form. And companies call it different things, but like a risk register, for instance, where it's not just IT stuff that's on there. It's something like, what if one of our employees falls down the steps? And that could be a low risk, but it could have some substantial money related to it. There's stuff like that. And if you can get to that level, now that's a mature company. What you're doing is great for, a company that's starting out, or you're now starting out.
Right.
So, hey, Ollie.
Hey, Ollie.
How you doing, my man?
Is he alive? All right.
Are you on? Are you actually on, Ollie?
Ah, shit.
First Ollie.
I was seriously concerned. I was wondering how you were doing. That's why I stopped. All right. We'll move along.
Something might be wrong with him.
But you're doing absolutely what you should be doing.
Yeah. There we go.
Be warned, the other one is my other browser. It'll probably die soon.
Okay.
How you doing, my man?
Better than I was, and thanks. I appreciate you talking me down earlier.
Hey, anytime, man. I told you, available for you 100%.
Thanks,
I'm
bro.
glad I'm glad you're okay, brother.
Thanks.
Oh man, what a week, guys! I had a hell of a week. It's been kind of a crazy week for myself. Well, Tuesday I found out a good friend of mine's passed away on Tuesday.
Oh damn!
I'm sorry, not even Tuesday. Monday, excuse me. On Monday I found it out. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Did you put it in the show notes?
No, I didn't put anything in the show notes. I just.
Oh, we got to pass over it then.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm trying to bring some levity, man.
I apologize.
How are you handling it?
Well, I'm hanging in there. It's so like I said, he had his funeral on Friday, so that situation happened on Monday, right? He got into a car accident, got ejected from the car.
How old was he?
39.
Damn.
Yeah. Man. So that was crazy. Then Tuesday, I come home to relax, and my buddies are blowing up my phone. Twitter's going crazy. Facebook's going crazy. My friend decides to steal a tank, and it made the news. I don't know if you guys heard about the soldier that took the tank and drove it down.
A long time ago, I heard of something. Yeah.
No, in Richmond. This happened in Richmond this past week on Tuesday.
Oh my.
Yeah. So he was in the military, and I think he was going through something that he didn't want to really, talk about. Because I had just talked to him on IRC on Tuesday. I mean, on Sunday night. And he's saying he's just going through a little bit, going through something. He'll talk about it later, but later never came. And I was just like, oh my god, I'm gonna put the article. He was 29. Joshua Yabet.
Oh, tank guy.
Yeah, what I'm
Yeah,
talking
Move
about.
RCX.
I am talking to 10,000 people, and you're talking like I'm having a conversation with one person. I can't really talk about it. Yes, it's moved on to my networking position. No, I do.
That's the article right there, though. Yeah, that was my friend.
I am speaking to a lot of. We are my group here.
Adrian might want to mute Ricky real fast.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
And there's been a ton of jokes.
I'll typically mute him. He can unmute himself in a bit.
Adrian, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot. Got back from I couldn't sleep well not in my own bed, so I left St. Louis about 4:30 in the morning their time and drove back home.
Jeez.
Well, it's a 4-hour drive. Then I get an extra hour in there because I'm on East Coast and they're on Central.
Yeah.
So I end up getting home 10 o'clock or so because of some stops.
Okay. Yeah, I was telling him about my friend that drove the tank down the street.
Now, why'd he steal a tank?
I think he had some. I put the article in the thing in D-chat. I think he was just going through something. He wanted to get out of the military. I think he was just going through something PTS. I don't know if he had PTS or some kind of mental, because he did a tour in Iraq back in 2009. So I don't know if that changed him or what. He's 29. And it was just crazy because, like everybody's just like, yo, this dude's like it came on CBS News. That's how crazy it was. Because he put them on he put the police on a chase for like 60 miles.
I mean,
you see it, right?
I know, and it's like,
yeah. But if you look at his Twitter, it was a lot of stuff that was going on, and he kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. Okay, so just a little bit on his Twitter when he tweeted, I wish I had an anime wife. So I was like, okay,
anime wife?
Yeah, he said that. So I was like,
waifu.
I don't know what type of anime wife he wanted, but I was just like, okay, with something ain't right. Something must be going on, because he was tweeting sporadically, just stuff. And then next thing I look on the Twitter, he posts himself holding up the West Side sign saying Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to F with. So I was like, what the? And then next thing you know, that's when, he posted videos of himself turning on the tank. He posted videos of the combat that the army used. He posted his DOD ID on Twitter.
Ooh.
Yeah, he just went off. Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm just glad he didn't kill nobody with that tank, because he was, because he just drove off the base. They tried to stop him, but he kept driving, so they got out of the way.
Now, is that thing? I don't know all the terminology. So is that thing technically a tank?
Well, it's like not really a tank. I just called it a tank. I'm sorry. It's probably a. I'm not familiar with the terms either. Adrian,
armored personnel carrier.
Yeah, it's an APC or armored personnel carrier.
Okay.
Yep.
But it can still do some damage, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty heavy tracked vehicle. It'll fuck up anything in its path, short of like a very thick concrete wall.
Yeah, so I was just glad that he didn't kill nobody or hurt them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So that kind of messed with me a little bit, because some people were just trying to. Here's the thing, because some people that I know, they were ready to write him off and everything else, and I'm like, look, man, you don't know what's going on in people's lives, and that could be you. That could be you know what I mean? That could be anybody. You don't know. Nobody knows what would set them over the edge. Something dramatic can happen in a person's life, it can set them over the edge. and you just never know. All I could do is just say I hope that he gets help, or they get him help, and try to help fix him.
Wasn't this something VA related as well? Like he couldn't get into the VA or something like that?
It was something. I was just trying to process all of this stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm like, wow. Now this happened Monday, Tuesday. On top of the Kate Spade, and on top of Anthony killing himself. One of my good friends works at CNN, so he was pretty cool with him. So he was telling me about it. So
rough week.
What a week! Yeah, I was just like, you know what? Yeah, take some time out, and that's again. Hopefully, I have time this weekend to work on my prezo for Nova Hackers. I'm gonna kind of change it a little bit. I called it Broken Direction, but I think on Monday I'm just gonna do a talk on mental health in our community, and not just the mental health, because everybody seems to be using that theme, seems like, but just how we as a community can come together. I don't care what you do, whether you do InfoSec or not. If you do anything tech related, how as a community we can help each other. I'm changing my deck to put like numbers for different hotlines that people can talk. Because nobody might not like at the talk when I do the talk, nobody's gonna admit anything right then and there. They might and they might not, But at least if I could just put the information out there, maybe they could do it in their own time where they feel more comfortable when they're by themselves. You know what I mean?
I think another thing too is another thing that might help is also instituting people to see what's actually going on, or to look for, I don't want to say like look for signs, but like look for like just look. I mean, if a colleague or just even a friend is having issues and they're seeming down, just a lot of the times just check them.
Check on them, man. And I think that's the thing, and when the situation was going with my friends, and a lot of people, what he was posting, a lot of people were laughing, but I'm looking like deeper into that because I'm like, it's not like him. And as a community, we've always been different from the outside world. The outside world, they do what they do. But what we do is something special, one. Two, we control the cool in this day and age. We control what people use for their businesses. We control what people use for their phones, whatever, software, whether it's hardware. We control all of that in a way. Each and every one of us in some form or fashion. There's somebody out there inventing something, the new cool, pretty much. But it comes from our community, and I just think this is one more thing that maybe we can start by an example to help and try to control. You see somebody going through something, hey, reach out. Hey, you all right? Not in a, not trying to be nosy way, but you get what I mean, right? Like just saying, hey, I'm just checking on you, see how you doing. You'd be surprised that could go a long way.
Yeah. Just even like taking someone out for a coffee or a beer or some shit like that. That's the amount of times that I've had both been on the receiving end of people saying, hey, do you need, like, hey, let's go grab a beer or something, like you see them down, and also reciprocated that towards other people. The amount of change and the amount of positivity that comes out of those those outings is just astonishing.
Right. And you'd be surprised how, like you said, you'd be surprised the information that you learn about one another. And then, you just be there, be a helping hand, be there to just help someone, and we know what the outside world, we know for them, they're full of greed. They're gonna do what they do and try to destroy each other. But that should not be happening in our house, in our community.
We're hackers. Yes, we're subject to human nature, but god damn it, we can be better than this.
Right. And that's all I'm saying. So, I just gave you pretty much the basis of my talk for Monday. It's just that, like, I'm not talking about how to bypass something, how to hack anything. So if we want to hack something, let's hack life. Let's hack mental health.
Hack the body.
Mental health. Hack the body. Yeah, hack the body. Hack mental health. How can we do that? How can we fix that? We can start by, hey, lending a helping hand. How about just a hello? Or do you want to go out and get some coffee? Or do you want to, find out what the other person's interest is? Maybe they're into minions. Get them a minion or something, or a t-shirt. Something that can kind of make the day go just a little bit easier.
Yeah.
As opposed to.
There's a rule for whenever you're at con or whatever the hell.
Mm-hmm.
Always meet and hopefully becomes friends with a minimum of 10 new people each con.
Oh, shit. I've been talking to you guys for the last 15 goddamn minutes.
What happened?
We muted.
And then I started
You was on mute that whole time?
Sorry, yes. I said something about you'd be able to unmute yourself, and I saw you were having some kind of discussion with your wife, and I didn't know if you want that on the air, so I went ahead and muted you. I figured you'd notice.
Oh.
No, that's cool. That's fine. No, that's cool.
Okay, sorry for that.
I just wanted to say, you guys' hearts are. Jack and I talked about this at length last night. About working with young men that are coming into the industry.
Right.
And that's the ones that we can kind of help out. The young guys coming into the industry, and the goal is to focus and help them focus the anger and some of the frustration that young men feel as they grow older. But you guys are out of your goddamn mind if you think this security industry is this one big cradle of nice people that all work together well. And that we solve problems together. I've been in this too long, and that's not the case.
I wish, but
that's not the case in IT. Period, man.
Yeah.
But you just went through about 10 minutes talking about how hackers. When you say hackers, who does that mean? But they can be better, and we can do, and they can do this better. And we're the ones who are cool, and we're the ones who define this.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true. I think that's setting. I think that's setting us up. That's mentally setting ourselves up in a way that gives us some shields of armor of sorts.
Anything armor?
We are not the knights around the table. We are not the ones that make things cool. We are not the cool. And I hope we never are the cool. There are things that each one of us individually can do. But I wouldn't put it on our group, meaning the IT sec industry as a whole, to do anything that any other industry isn't doing right now. Hackers aren't, and let's define hackers. IT security is a bunch of people. It's admins, it's salespeople, it's all, it's a whole mesh of people, right?
Yeah.
And they're just as bad as any other industry. Every industry, potentially or worse, yeah.
Yeah.
Every industry has people within it that want to see good in the world. And I think we have some of the people here on the podcast that we talk to on a weekly basis. And hopefully that doesn't clutter people's minds, because
I think more of what we're trying to say is that we know that there's an issue, and that we can at least try. Is I think what we're trying.
I'm not saying My point is to not try. What I'm saying is we need to make sure we don't have such lofty goals as to set ourselves up for failure.
Right.
Jack and I talked about specifically young men coming into the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And how we can men grow you, young men in general, being a big brother, being an uncle, that kind of thing. Sort of helping out those that have anger or have depression. And checking out.
Right.
Specific to the IT industry. A lot of industry is people sit on their asses too much, right?
Yeah.
They work on problem solving quite a bit. They can get lost in their own world. We have a tendency to attract IT, not just IT security, have a tendency to attract people that have very bright minds, but very limited social skills. And those are the things that we can be aware of and individually help out. But there are some horrible people in this industry. There are people that don't want to help out. And I don't want to make it sound all doom and gloom, but...
No, you're speaking reality. I mean, it's not doom and gloom. I mean, these are facts. I mean, you've seen it. You've seen it at not even just corporate world. I mean, even like conferences and everything. You've seen the bad people come out.
Yeah, at most conferences, there's a few. And Adrian obviously has gone to way more than any of us have.
Yeah. Well, some people think I am that bad guy at the conference. I have a problem with parasitical empathy. There's some things when you got to tell people to kind of buck up and.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Like the guy who's whining about, me saying don't apologize for something about someone thought that black hat, white hat had racial overtones.
Who said that?
Some argument Bats got in with somebody, and I'm like, please don't apologize.
Don't even, yeah.
This is a great example of InfoSec being unwelcoming. Having a total lack of empathy is a terrible, terrible trait. And the blocking a little bit. But so you say I should have empathy for someone saying some stupid shit about black hat, white hat having racial overtones. It's about fucking cowboys, you dumbass.
It's a that is something that goes back for a very long time. Even back to the black and white hat cowboys, back to a black knight and the white snowfall. Why is a white snowfall considered fresh and clean, but a black knight, the black knightness coming in is not? And it's pretty fucking simple. It has nothing to do with the person's skin color. If you guys watch the movie Malcolm X,
yep,
where he's teaching him, he's reading through the dictionary with him, and he has them read the word black and the word white. Now, black people's skin, for the vast majority of them, is not black.
Nope.
And for the vast majority of people, their skin isn't white. So we're not talking literal colors here. And Adrian is 100% correct. When you get down to that level, it is parasitic, and it becomes parasitic empathy, and it's bad.
No comment.
Chuck's like, nope. Backing away.
I don't even know what to say to that. It's just like unbelievable. That's all I got for that one.
There's
I've never.
to say about it, right?
You
You
know,
hear stupid arguments all the time like that.
Yeah.
And when you do, it takes you back, and then you gotta go, okay, how do I confront this if I ever hear it in the future? And then you don't hear it again for another 20 years. All right. We are in a day and age where people are resurrecting old arguments. Time somehow started for these people in fucking the 1800s. That's when humans became humans in the 1800s, and that's when time started.
Speaking of black, I just put black liquid electric tape all over my fucking couch because I'm trying to fix some power bricks for my damn cameras. Shit.
Huh. That's a
You're
fun
just trying
fact.
to be more diverse in your house, man.
I probably shouldn't start trying to do electrical repairs while drunk.
No.
Probably not.
Anyway, continue.
What's the worst that could happen? It all burns down.
Well, actually, since nothing's plugged in, all I'm doing is accidentally making a mess with this liquid electric tape. The spot where the brick connects to the cords, I've been bit so many times to fit it in my small packages. That didn't sound right. That it slowly started to break.
Hmm.
Do you want to hit number 4?
Yeah, we can hit number 4.
I think these are mostly you, right?
The first 2 were. The rest of these are not mine.
Number 4 was mine. It's basically a bit of an old news now.
Do you
That
see how I marked in old news?
yeah, I saw that. Well, I mean, it's true, it is though. But it basically there was actually a bug in CSS, the latest version of CSS, that allowed browsers to pull other data like your Facebook username and profile picture and all kinds of shit like that, even when you're not on Facebook. So it can be used to de-anonymize Facebook users and potentially more. It has since been patched in both Chrome and Firefox, though, and Safari was partially not vulnerable. It's due to vectorization of graphics. So it's not just HTML code anymore, or well, it never really has been, but not just Flash. It's every element on the web page can be potentially malicious.
It was interesting when you put this up because I saw you put it up while I was at work, and I have a couple of front end developers. I was like, "Hey, check this out, guys!" And they looked at it and they're like, "Wait, how does this work?" and then one of them got it like immediately, and it's like, "Oh yeah, I can see how that would work." And the other guy was like, "I still don't understand what's going on with this, but okay." And they actually like I gave them the link, and they went to the POC, and one of them was actually seeing his Facebook name and stuff like that, and he was like, "Oh, that's how they're doing it," and they were on very recent versions of Chrome. One of them was on the most recent version, and one was on the last recent version.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Huh, cool! I just got like all the POC or I just saw all the POC happen in 2 seconds." Sweet. But this reminded me of like clickjacking a little bit.
I mean, it could potentially be used for that because of CSS. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know if CSS
the behavior
called for that. Yeah, the behavior.
The behavior that I was doing, it was using something that it was using a specific technology to get information from another site, which is what clickjacking was doing.
Yeah.
Or clickjacking was trying to make you do something that. No, I guess it's different behavior. Never mind.
Pretty much, you're doing your.
Yeah, I muted myself, but yeah, it is different behavior for sure.
Yeah.
Clickjacking, you're just doing something on VB that was unwanted, unknowingly though, like giving money to other people when you click on something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clickjack relies on.
It could do that.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, yeah, it could do that. With advertisers did that a lot, where they would hide like iframes or other elements on a web page that would have little click ads that by simply visiting the web page, you'd click it and bam, they get money for it.
Yep. All the interesting stuff.
That was before web browser based cryptocurrency mining became a real thing.
Yep.
God, imagine how it's gone. It was it went like 20 years ago from pop-ups and other annoying ass browser ads to now fucking cryptocurrency mining in there. Holy shit.
Yep. Came and went. Like the plague.
Oh, how the times have changed.
Yep. And it's going to get even more interesting.
Put your clicking finger up if you represent computer crime.
It just reminds me of Troy Hunt being a total ass goblin and saying, "Oh my God, why are ad blockers blocking my site?" And I'm like, ad blockers are a terrible thing. I'm like, shut the fuck up, you fucking idiot! Ad blockers are a vital tool for security. I mean, how much shit do you see coming from compromised ad networks? A lot.
First of all, I'm mad and laughing that you said ass goblin. Like, that was just like, wait a minute.
I believe we need to get research into the threat called cock goblin.
Wait,
That just sounds aggressive.
Damn
ass goblin.
Cock juggling thunder cunt.
You know what? I was saying correctly.
We are adults. We are adults.
Oh yeah,
We are adults.
This is not a kids program.
No, it's not. Way beyond that. Our collector.
I mean, Adrian, you don't give a shit about being demonetized, do you?
Some of them do, mostly because of copyright issues. Let's see if this works. Here's an ass goblin, or at least an ass ghoulie.
Oh no!
Oh God!
You know what?
I will share my screen.
Oh my God!
Holy shit!
I thought
Broke up, Ricky.
There's the picture.
Oh wow!
It was a cheesy 80s horror film, which after Gremlins was really popular, there was a couple of like clone kind of movies. Ghoulies was one, and Critters was another.
Oh, Critters was my joint. I love
like Critters. But it was still very, you could tell it was kind of inspired by Gremlins.
It was. It was kind of like, you know what it reminded me of? It was like the Flavor Aid of Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Flavor
I
Aid.
don't even know what that.
Flavor
Hey,
Aid
you
was
guys know if
Kool-Aid.
anybody, you guys know if anybody joined the YouTube channel by any chance? Is anybody actually watching this live? Okay.
Yeah, there's a few people.
Okay. We've linked articles that we've talked about, so that was one of the suggestions that we try to keep in mind, is that people have asked for us to show articles if we bring them up in.
Yeah, we've been trying to. I think
other
we're
content.
Occasionally we bring up random stuff though, like the tank thing. I don't think we put a link for the tank thing in the show notes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I threw up a screen
up
share
there?
of the article.
Okay.
Yeah. So at least people.
You and I
might
want to.
see-
One of the screen shares up there real quick.
Oh my gosh.
Can you guys hear me?
Now. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Yeah.
Someone's
Fine.
All right. So, shall we move to the next point in the show notes?
Sure.
All right.
Yes, and somehow when I take off my headphones, my computer doesn't work. Oh, I know why. I know why it doesn't work. Because I had other headphones plugged in.
Derp.
I was talking so long and so late to Jack that every single one of my headphones, my Bluetooth headphones, have lost battery. So I'm charging 2 of them at the same time, and I'll stick them on for a couple of minutes. And then when I stick them on, it takes about 20 minutes, and then they're out. I only wanted to screen share this because I don't know why, because I'm an idiot for the most part.
I wouldn't say that.
It means nothing about nothing. I don't know if you guys could see that I'm clicking around here. So
you are
So-
not screen sharing at the moment. There we go.
all right. I put this together today, and I'm proud of myself. So take a listen. Welcome to the weekly installment of the Irongeek Cast.
Nice. I like that.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty cool, but we
I
don't
like
know
that.
how to insert it into the show.
Isn't there something in the control room feature? I'll look that up.
Yeah. Well, because Adrian starts the cast just from this Hangout windows and starts streaming to YouTube kind of low. So I don't know that we know a way to, and I don't even know if he likes that. I mean,
That's okay by me. I'm a lazy bastard.
Well, damn.
no, I wanted to have you have an intro and an outro. I thought that'd be cool. You know, Irongeek to have this, like, I don't know, this cool intro music and outro. Because you do an outro all the time, and some of us get too drunk to let you do it at the end. You sign in the video, and I thought it'd be cool if we put those two things in there. I just don't know how to make it function with how you do things. Anyway,
So I just found a way to.
and I only put it up there because I was giddy.
Nice. Oh, sounds good, man. All right, let's move on to the next point. Valve patches a 10-year-old RCE in Steam.
It's just video games.
This is funny to me. Well, not. It's funny.
Do people listening and people on here really understand what an RCE is? You know, when we talk RCEs, do people understand? And I don't mean security people in general. This is more the admin folks, the people responsible for patching their systems. They are normally they go undetected, fully undetected.
Yeah, an RCE.
Remote code execute. Now you have.
You're breaking up.
Oh.
You're breaking up.
Yep. Yeah, my battery again is getting low on one of my headsets. But what I was saying was, some software detects it. If you invest some money, you will have a software that will detect that type of an exploit. Remember, it's an OS level exploit, or sometimes an application level exploit. And once you have that remote code execution exploit exploited, to use exploit a number of times in a row,
you have system level access to that system generally. You can escalate the system, and then you can do whatever you want to do. You can move around within that environment. So just for an example, and this is why this is so meaningful, this went unnoticed for what, 10 years?
Yes.
Yep.
At a recent pen test, there was an unpatched system that was sitting on a help desk person's test computer. It was like their lab box, but they had their credentials on it. And that person also had access to systems that were built for systems that were going to be deployed to our PCI environment. So using this remote code execution exploit, we're able to hop from the unpatched lab machine to a not yet ready image that was being built for PCI that had the PCI network all set up into there, and then hop around and start running exploits in memory, dumping caches and all kinds of good stuff. This stuff is super serious, and it went unnoticed for 10 goddamn years.
Yeah.
And another thing too is that this is a system that now boasts approximately 15 million active users.
How many?
15 million.
God damn.
Steam is basically, for those who don't use it, the main distribution platform for digital games. So that's where all of your digital games are, where you would download your digital games and play them through there as well. So you might, and Steam is set up to run, when you install it, it sets itself up to auto run on machine start. So if you don't get rid of that immediately when this was still active, then you always had a vulnerable service running on your machine.
Sheesh.
Or application, I should say. It's not a service, it's an application.
Yeah. That's something to be assumed at this point.
Yeah.
Even the most, well, I'm not going to say the most hardened of our systems. In general, all of the hardened systems that we have are vulnerable in one way or another. Whether that be air gap systems, whether that be the system itself, whether it be the people that operate it, any number of things. And it serves as a good reminder. Somebody found this a long time ago and have probably used it.
No, it's it wasn't found 10 years ago, but it was present in the software for the last 10 years. It was the vulnerability. I have the article up as well. The vulnerability was reported to Valve on the 20th of February and was fixed in the beta release of Steam 12 hours later, and then the full patch of the stable version was put out a month later in March on the 22nd of March.
Yeah.
Where I was going with that is if there are various actors that found that, they're not going to report it.
Correct. Yeah.
And so it may have been used for the last 10 years, unnoticed and undetected by companies, and nobody reported. So interesting, man.
Yeah, Valve is the parent company that makes Steam. They're actually really good about getting that shit updated, so they actually have a pretty good response team. I've seen them respond to other similar situations too. So they're on top of shit.
I think it was last year. Like a 10 to 13-year-old kid figured out a way to put up his game on Steam to any or how to circumvent all of Valve's what's the word I'm looking for? Like
DRM?
quality. Yeah, all their DRM processes and just put up a game straight up onto Steam and make it the top featured game of Steam on the live version of it. And he literally put up a game where you watch paint dry.
Yep.
Wow.
And he put it up for free. He put it up for free, so there wasn't a big issue there.
Jeez.
But he completely circumvented all of Valve's checks to put up games on Steam, and it was the funniest thing. And I think they ended up hiring the guy. Actually, I think it was.
I hope so.
And that's a very Valve thing to do. They tend to hire people from the community rather than industry itself, because that's what happened with Counter-Strike as well.
Yeah, Counter-Strike, and there's been a few other big mods that people have made. They hired the team on because it was, oh crap, these guys have serious fucking talent.
Mm-hmm. There was one, and the Black Mesa crew got hired by them to remake Half-Life, or the Half-Life games and the newer Source engine, because it was because Half-Life was running on the old one, I think, the first game at least.
Yeah, so to give a little more evidence, Counter-Strike actually originally started as a mod for Half-Life. It was all third party. It was not run by Steam or Valve or anything like that. And it got so popular that Valve actually hired the team on and bought Counter-Strike out and developed it on their own. So it is now theirs because of a team that did so well that Valve said, "Oh hell yeah, you guys are doing a great job. We want to hire you on."
Why do you think Valve does it? Because they know it works.
Yeah.
And they're the only company that does that.
No, they aren't.
No, there are a few
Oh,
others. They're the most notable one, probably.
Yeah, most notable. As I said that, I remembered that Paradox Interactive does that as well, where they hire people from the community.
Well, they buy other companies to do well, like they just bought Harebrained Schemes out. Shit.
Yeah.
So
that reminds me, I just had a realization. This isn't the first time there's been a code execution thanks to this kind of shit. So as you guys were talking, I realized something. You know the May attack? Someone did something similar with Counter-Strike many years ago.
Really?
Yeah, 1 second.
while he's bringing that up, somebody had mentioned that they were hiring these people because they were damn good, right?
Right.
They're deserving of the job that they got. Somebody brought this to my attention just the other day. It's probably existed out here for a while. Check this out. It's a site. The Post-Metocracy Manifesto. And it's basically reasons why it's a bad thing to give people positions of power and or status based on their worth and their value.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes through their core values, and it's like every other manifesto, and you read it and you go, holy shit, this stuff is not only scary because people buy in and believe this shit,
yeah,
but we are moving into a world where a greater and greater amount of people believe that this is the case. That metocracy was something invented by white men, and we need to leave it behind. So when he said that, I thought about this, and I think, actually, I think it was Marlene who got into an argument about this with somebody.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Marlene has been fighting with people. Your miss came out of it. So I'll post the link. I just copy and paste it so y'all can read it. I'll jump out of here now, so we can get on with the show.
Guys, remember see someone posted an article was that a post meritocracy of like,
Yeah, that's that. It's a manifesto. That's what it is. Yeah.
Here's my thing is, the people who say various things is reaffirming whiteness or or this concept is a white idea, and I'm like, not really. And the terminology they're using is pretty racist, not towards white people necessarily. But what they actually mean when they say these words, they actually do mean meritocracy. What they're saying is they themselves don't think people who aren't white can have merit. And I'm like, that's bullshit.
I have merit. Shit.
I think you have merit.
Yeah.
But
are you sure you have merit? Because they don't think so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Not only, but agency. That's another one that they strip from their pets. And their pets being black folks and Hispanic folks. They strip our agency. Fucked up.
It is.
And remember who's doing it, right? These are usually white middle class women.
Mm. Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, I see that happening a lot in college. If you go to if you go to like any women's center at a college, that's basically what you're running into is those kind of women.
Huh.
It's interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. If I say anything more, I might get knocks on my door.
So when they go, hey, why does this guy have this job? How did he get this position? And they go, well, he's really good at it. He spent a lot of time honing his craft, and he's an expert now.
Yeah.
What's the argument against that now? It's that, well, that's not the only thing we should value. Okay. Let's not value expertise in hard-driven folks. People that work hard, and we won't value that. We'll value something else.
Huh.
Yeah, I see that a lot, and it kind of scares me with how the attitude of my generation, which is the 18 to 23 or something like that. I don't know, whatever age range you want to go with. The idea is that if they get a degree of something, they'll get a job and they'll get the position that they want. And that's all they have to do. They just have to go through and kind of just go with the motions of things and just go through whatever thing comes by them and doing the minimal amount of work, and they'll get to be where they want. But that is not the case.
God, this dude called Economic Invincibility on YouTube, and he was talking about some kind of weird millennial expectation that they're going to make $100K salary within a few years out of college. And I'm like, nah.
Yeah, sure. If you're like the next Elon Musk or something like that, and even then, like I'm starting to see this more, and it's not just a issue that's in the U.S. system. I'm seeing this also happening in the EU system.
Mm-hmm.
It's people are expecting to get things because they feel like they're entitled to it. Like, okay, some of them, yes, they put in the work. Yes, they should. They put in the work. They work hard at it. They show that they actually have the skill set to do this. Yeah, then I can understand them feeling like they should get this because they've worked hard for it. But when it's people that just sit around and do nothing and they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna get a job, blah 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 blah, and they don't show any real passion towards it, they don't show any initiative towards it, those are the kinds of people that I just I don't mesh with.
Mm-hmm.
You need to punch them all in the face.
That usually ends poorly for me.
He said usually. Oh my god.
I haven't had to yet for that to. Usually, I can figure out a way to make it work with those people, but and usually I can. And like for instance, the last 3 months now or so, I've been the project manager for a pseudo kind of simulated game development company that's part of this program that I'm doing over here. And a lot of the things that I've had to deal with have been just getting people to do stuff. You have a bunch of people, and I have 26 people that I need to manage. You have a lot of people that are very passionate about this stuff, which is why they did the program, and then you have other ones that are like, this is the only thing that I could take, and this is why I took it or took this, and I really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And it's and like half of the things that I had to deal with as a project manager was just getting those people to work with people and make sure that their stuff was in on time and that they were actually producing stuff, which worries me, especially when my generation gets out into the workforce. That's gonna be, if that mentality stays the same, they're gonna get fired. They're just gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
But anyway, weird rant aside, I shouldn't have ranted and gone to the next show note.
It's okay. It's okay, man.
Sorry to everyone that's watching.
You do not need to apologize, my brother. This is just a making my week.
This is how we do it.
Yep, hearing everybody's voices because I needed it.
Yep. Speaking of Europe, let's move on to the next point, shall we?
Oh, shall we? Yeah.
Founders
I don't
of
like talking about this topic.
Founders of GDP. Whoa, that's the wrong acronym. GDPR. Not GDRP. Or the European Commission found leaking data, and the vulnerabilities that were found were things that are outlined in the GDPR that they set in motion for all of Europe, and they weren't following their own compliance
advice practices.
Hey, Caprico.
Yo, what's up?
We updated our privacy policy. Here's an email. You get it worse because you're in Europe.
Are you guys getting any of these?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of them. They have their own special folder.
Every damn site that I go to, or even a game, like where I will just sit down and I'll play a game, and it'll say we've updated our privacy policy. I'm like, no.
You know what's bad? Even offensive security did that.
No.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I was looking. I was like, what? Oh, hold on. I'm getting the email. Damn that. I said, really?
I actually had this discussion about this at work because we make web applications and mobile applications, and we were wondering, or they came to me and
there you go.
like, what? Oh God! And they came to me asking what we should do with this, and I'm like, stop storing cookies. That's the best thing to do. Stop storing personal information. If we don't need to store personal information, don't. And if we do, then implement and then we have to do those guidelines and just be educated on them. But
It's nuts.
Anyway, who put
Oh,
this
I got
in
someone in my mentions. I posted some meme about when you're finally ready for a diet plan that actually works, and someone's holding up, a fat guy is holding up, I think, a fat guy or a fat girl, I can't tell. They're holding up the Communist Manifesto. So
That's a chick.
someone comments on Venezuela is also lovely this time of year, and habits of starving to meet tourists. Some lines to wait in, but Bernie said it does the body good. Then some guy comments, and someone who follows me apparently, Venezuela is by no means socialist, let alone communist. Get your shit together. Blaming dim social horrors of state capitalism is this honest and horse shit. I'm pretty sure Venezuela is doing a centrally planned economy to a degree, are they not?
I think so.
And the guy, I looked at
I thought so.
complaining, and he lists ANCOM and SIN or whatever to the profile. How exactly do you redistribute the wealth underneath an anarchist state? Because there would be no state.
Yeah,
that's the stupid thing about ANCOMs.
or ANCAPs. Yeah,
Well, ANCAPs have some naive views, I think, also, but I don't think they're as nuts as the ANCOMs.
Yeah, so communism is supposed to be state-free. Socialism is where the state
provides everything,
in which people are separated from their wealth and everybody gets happy utopia. And then once you have achieved that, you move on to a communist society in which there is no state. So it's redundant to say anarcho-communist.
Okay, so
in my opinion, reading Marx and the like in my college and high school years, it's redundant to say because communism is a state-free society.
So without a state, how exactly do they plan to resolve conflicts between individuals?
Well, you know how it would happen. We know how it would happen, right?
Tumblr.
You had a mercenary groups, strongmen in power that would take over, and and they would begin abusing the people that had no power.
This is why I kind of like minarchism, the idea of minarchism, because I don't see the idea of no state ever working, but I also don't like the idea of large totalitarian states.
Yeah.
Sorry, I sidetracked things based on what was going on Twitter. Continue.
That's all right.
That's a little dash of communism talk in the.
It seems like we've had a fucking 100 and some odd years of evidence to show us which economic system works. I don't know why we still arguing it in
to this day. Yeah.
I can tell you. I can tell you why.
I know why. It's just people forget. They're so detached from that time so long ago. And social media has some sort of it's like in the past you'd able to spread a fire across a neighborhood, and now with social media it's like we're one big forest. So when a fire starts, you can burn half the fucking forest down with an idea. And that's actually what Marx and specifically Lenin was called. Marx and then Lenin coming into Russia, it was called an ideological contagion.
Mm-hmm.
Ideological explosion is more like it.
Well, it didn't start as an explosion, right? They had to do a lot of work in order to get that society in place. But when you have poor working people and they hear for the first time, hey, you can be the owners. jobs like some of us do. Numbers were worked to the bone, man, very little, and they were beaten. They had kids that worked there, so it was right for that.
I know one thing.
Millions of people.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
All right, where are we in the show notes?
Yeah.
Currently talking about GDPR on point number 6 on the show notes
And
for
that
tonight.
the bureaucrats in place aren't necessarily following it themselves. That's the basic thing.
Pretty much.
Yeah, essentially. So if the main idea is that is this even feasible for companies and organizations to be using this if even the European Commission can't institute it themselves? So, yeah. Basic idea.
And the politicians have started to abuse it. Meaning they've asked for articles that paint them in a negative light to be withdrawn and erased. The big deal, though, with the they are meeting to decide whether or not the United States should follow along or will need to follow along, or Google and the rest of them will face enormous fines. And they will either need to get out of Europe, which has, 500,000 people in it. That's no small amount of their revenue.
Right.
Comply and say, you know what, now these rules have to apply across the entire world. So when articles are removed, generally they're just removed from the view of the people in Europe. The people in the US can still see it.
Right.
They're trying to make it where nobody can see it now. And that's going to be an interesting fight.
Yeah, it is. Do you think it'll be you think it'll work out? Do you think they'll be able to do it, I mean?
Well, we've got some precedents in place where Europe has let's say they have a hate speech law.
Right.
But a hate speech law doesn't apply to American people. It stops at their borders. So they could put as many laws in place as they want. But there's some precedent that says it stops at your borders. It may even stop at the servers that these things. So they have the obligation to delete and withdraw data if they don't want to. They're an American company, so I don't know.
Hey everyone, I'm getting a little drowsy. I'm gonna head to bed. I'll see you later.
Okay.
All right. Later. Ow!
Have a good night, bro.
What the fuck is wrong with me going to bed at 6 p.m.? Oh well.
Nothing. You're sleepy.
Yeah.
Bye, my man.
Later.
Later out.
Where were we now?
Well, moving on.
7.
Yeah.
Survey idea. Social study of social anti-social justice blue team.
You're breaking up, man.
Yeah.
I'll read this. A survey idea study of social justice versus
somebody else go ahead.
red and blue teams.
Yeah, so this was an idea actually of Always.
I don't know what this even means.
Yeah,
if I remember,
yeah, go for it, Darren.
remember he was talking about reds being more anti-social justice and blues being more pro-social justice kind of thing, and he was trying to see if there was actually any kind of correlation in that hypothesis. So run a survey to see how accurate that will be.
I honestly don't know. I mean, okay, this is talking broadly in trends, and I'm gonna get shit on Twitter for this later on. remember having a guy come up to me at NolaCon and say, "I noticed there's a lot of really far left people in InfoSec." I'm like, if I compare dev work, not nearly as much. I will say, as far as red team, blue team, I've noticed that there's more women who have a little bit too much empathy for people who may not need it. And there's a lot more women who go with the blue team, it seems. Like a lot of women I know seem to be on the blue team side of things. And there's more men on the red team side of things. That may have some correlation. But then again, I don't have any study to prove it. I don't have anybody doing any surveys or anybody doing any peer-reviewed research. So I'll just put that out there. I've noticed women have more of a tendency, I think, to have empathy at times when they probably shouldn't. And that they have a tendency to be more on that side of the spectrum than men. And also, I've noticed there's a divide between men and women, and it seems to be a lot of the women in not all, of course. I'm not saying all. See, it does seem that most of the women I meet who are in security are on the blue team side of things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the good things about women that I think has been turned around by some other women, in that women are considered, they are protective. And that's what a blue team does, right? It protects company assets. It's looking out for the welfare of the organization.
By and large, and if you really look up some kind of sociological studies on this, women have a tendency to be more risk-averse, which also makes more sense with doing blue team stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I thought he was talking red team, blue team in terms of liberals versus conservatives.
Oh, red as in like, like when someone political map. Yeah, I'm not sure what they mean. I wasn't there. Instructed.
Red team in terms of like InfoSec, red team, and blue team in InfoSec, blue team. Not
That's
political leaning.
Yeah.
That's what it probably means. When I first read it, I'm like, I was thinking he was dividing the two into teams, because that's what they seem to be now.
So is it okay? So you think is it more women? Because I don't know the percentage, so don't kill me too bad. But so there's more in blue team side than red team in general.
This is a general observation. Most of the women I meet in InfoSec do seem to have blue team roles. Now, certainly, I know some that have red team roles as well. But majority do seem, and I don't have the numbers to pull. Just talking general conversations with people. It does a lot of blue teams. On men, I don't know what the divide is because, well, most of the people in InfoSec period are men.
Even in training, the various training for red team performers, the majority of it, and it's anecdotal again. We don't have a study yet to show it, and hashtag not all anybody. It does seem like the vast majority of red teams are men, and red team can be very tedious work.
It is.
And it can be sort of mind-numbing at times. You're doing the same steps over and over again, what have you. Monotony. And I agree. The women that I've met in InfoSec tend either to be on the sales side, the administrative side, or the blue team. And hey, more power to them. We need more. Not too long ago, there was hardly any women on blue team or on red teams. So I'm glad we see.
Hey, I love the growth.
Yeah, more and more women getting involved. So that's pretty awesome.
Hopefully more, join the fight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
And they have a point in some respects, in that for a while this was a man's sport, and when they came in, how awkward guys are in technology.
Yeah.
guys super awkward. They don't know how to deal with women. And
That's true.
I remember in college classes there would be in my coding classes there would be like one hot girl in the class, and
Yep.
5 or 6 nerds that would huddle around her and help her write her code. And she could have probably coded herself, but she was, she was going to use these guys' help and either to broaden her knowledge or be like, fuck
Get
it,
ahead.
it's already. I'll let them do my homework.
Yep.
I actually ended up getting one of my close friends out of that cycle because she was that hot girl in the IT classes.
Uh-huh.
And so I would be in classes with her, and that is still a thing today. Is everyone kind of just like huddles around and just like tries to help as much as possible or whatever, basically doing their shit for them. And there was at one point where I think I had a group project with my friend, and I basically was just like, okay, here's what I will do, here's what you will do. Go do it. If you need help, ask, but I want you to figure this out because you're going to need to figure this out.
Yeah.
And usually, and I've been in situations where I've seen that, and a lot of the girls, when you talk to them like that, they get mad and they be like, you know what, I'll just find somebody else. Or you get a couple of them that like,
happen.
yeah, luckily, yeah. I mean, you get rare occasions like what you just said that didn't happen with you, but a lot of times, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this too, where you tell them like, hey, this is what you're going to figure out. Well, can you just tell me? No.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot. Like, no.
There was one instance where I was taking a week-long crash course in C#, and the professor was sick, and he asked me and one of my colleagues to basically teach the rest of the class after like after like the first hour. It was like it was a class where we were there from like 9 until like 2 or something like that during the day for a full week. And so he left, and I was sitting there just kind of doing my own thing, working on my own crap. And this girl walks up to me and she says that she has an issue with her code not compiling. And I was like, well, yeah, it's not compiling because there's a syntax error here. And she's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, it's literally labeled red right here. And no, it's not. It's like, okay, whatever. And I gave up because if she's not, either you need, and then she was also just looking,
help or you don't. I mean,
she was looking for me to do it for her, and I'm like, no, that's not what I do.
No, it's funny. Again, I think I started the conversation about women huddling around or guys huddling around the hot girl in the class.
Mm-hmm.
Both of our midterm and finals required us to write our code on paper.
Mm-hmm.
So no ID, no computer screen. It had to be written out on paper. And there was 2 girls after that midterm that never showed up again. And that's and I am 100% not saying anything about women developers. I'm talking about these people specifically.
From your experience, yeah.
Yeah, from my experience. And I've met many women coders out in the real world at conferences and workplaces that are far beyond my ability to code. So they're out there, and I know they are, and there are a large number of them. So just in these cases, and I hate that we have to fucking qualify this because
I know
the women that know don't need us to qualify this. The women that are confident don't need us to fucking qualify this. But I feel like we have to because I don't want, again, young people are going to listen to this, and I don't want them to feel a certain way or some kind of way about something, especially when it comes to women in InfoSec and how men should treat women in InfoSec and the differences between whatever. But it was funny them skipping out once they learned that these finals were going to be written out, and at that point I hadn't written more than my signature in maybe like a doctor form in ages. And my hand was so goddamn tired and my handwriting so poor.
My handwriting sucks, man. I sign checks. At the risk of sounding like Gregory D. Evans, I pretty much only write the signed checks anymore, and that makes my handwriting shit.
Yep.
I type everything.
Yeah. Wow. You know, something, speaking of which now, like, and just like with coding, like I'm still, and that's what I said, this is another thing to add to the week with coding. I grew a little frustrated learning assembly this week, and I just like, you know what? Because I felt like I was just doing the same exploit 100 times. But
how dare you? How dare you say something like, I grew frustrated at learning assembly this week.
But I'll tell you.
This week, it took me 3 years.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm it's gonna take. It's taking a while. I'm like I said, I'm spending the summer just trying to really learn this and really get good. I learned some cool stuff with Mona as well to make the process just a little bit faster instead of doing it. Because right now, no, this is me being 100% honest because right now.
Pick up on that.
What?
You were talking about Mona, and I said, "Did you do that with your wife?" And you said yes, and then you went right on.
No.
Oh my God! You know what?
You cut out.
I wanted that one. Hey, for everyone that's on the cast, that wasn't me. It wasn't me. My shaggy voice. But no, what's happening now? Is post OSCP. It's post OSCP syndrome. Because OSCP, you got to think a certain mindset, and you have to do damn near everything manually. So I'm coming off of that mindset. So when I'm dealing with the buffer overflow and trying to exploit software, it's coming from a place where it's dog slow because I'm so used to looking at it manually counting for the bad characters, as opposed to like manually looking for the offset with Metasploit when I could just do it in Mona. And I didn't realize that you could do it in Mona until recently. So it's growth,
Yeah.
And learn like I said with assembly. I was just like, man, a lot of it's just so much. It's like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And I think I had that syndrome this week. It's just like, damn, so much I got to learn.
And the cool thing is, like, a buffer overflow in general is fairly easy within.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
It's the same with a lot of stuff. Like the code injection within Windows isn't all that difficult to program.
No.
And you won't use assembly that often in your. So
I guess it's just more so just being able to, because I understand how memory management works in both Linux and Windows. I did take the time to learn that and how it functions and how the assembly language, the OS in general, switches from kernel mode to user land and vice versa, and where .text is and .bss and
Yeah, memory addressing, like in Windows, is fairly simple. I mean, you could do it with crafting of a toolbar, where again injecting into memory space when your user opens up a Word document or something, or Excel document, what have you. So, yeah,
so, you know, just hard, you know, hard lessons. I'll just go at just to say, like, you know, for anyone that's trying to learn anything, whether you're man or woman, it's definitely doable, but you have to put in the time. You have to put in the work. I know you're going to be tired. You're not going to feel like doing something. Sometimes you're going to get to a point where you're like, why am I even doing this? But you're doing this because either A, you love it, or you're trying to accomplish something, or, you know, depends on the person, what their reasoning is.
Yeah. Before we hop to our next note, there is, you guys, I don't know if you guys know her, Adrian Might, just from conference type shit, Krenner, Chris Krenner.
No, I don't ring a bell. What's up with him?
She goes to she's in Nova.
Her, sorry.
So I haven't talked to her in about 3 months or so. And she was DMing me at this, or messaging me at the same time I was DMing her. No reason for it to have happened. It was completely out of the blue. Again, we hadn't talked in many months, so we've been trying to catch up on some things. It's just one of those coincidences where you go, how the hell did that happen? You know, I don't know her very well, and just within 18 seconds of each other, this thing pops off.
Sometimes those things just happen.
Yeah. Just cool,
and they happen for a reason.
Yeah. That's the coolness of life. Say the coolness. Ow.
That's I wanted to inject that in there as we were bouncing from topic to topic. I think the next are mine. I think one again is because I think we talked to a lot of people that are either in uni or looking to get into uni. And I've talked about this before. Jonathan Haidt and some other professors, researchers, and very smart people have put together this place called Heterodox Academy. And you know, heterodox is the opposite of orthodox, right? But they have basically a mission statement and what they believe the problem is today. And the problem that they see is a diversity of viewpoints. It's not left and right. It's not conservative versus liberals. It is really a diversity of viewpoints. It's not black and white. It's not black and Hispanic. It's not white and Hispanic. It is people on university campuses seem to hold, especially on the professor side, the same viewpoint, and they're all teaching kids the same viewpoint. Therefore, the kids grow up, they espouse that same viewpoint, and we flood the world with a single-minded sort of, I don't know, this brain train that comes out of university. So they put together this academy where you can kind of go there and look at scores of various universities and see how they rate in terms of viewpoint diversity. I'm going to pop it open right now. They've got a couple of different ways you could do selection. So like Chicago's one of the #1 schools. um, you know, as in terms of top schools that you can go to. And if you remember several years ago, they're the ones that put out the memo that said, hey, if you come to Chicago, do not expect safe spaces. You will not get it here. This was a learning university, yada, yada, yada. So I thought it was pretty interesting and something that maybe people would want to know about if they haven't already. Heterodox Academy, there's a library, some tool sets on there, organizations that support them, and stuff like that. So it's something of interest, especially for even if there's older folks on here listening that have kids that are growing up and are looking and looking at a guide to colleges. It's all available here, and again, it has really little to do with left and right, and more about the viewpoint. You know, there's socialism being espoused on campuses like never before. They don't hear the moral argument for capitalism. That's not something that's taught through, even starting in high school. And the younger guys that are on the cast right now should be able to speak to that. High school campuses are now around 7th and 8th grade are speaking the moral good of socialism. And nobody's combating that. And why not? So I thought, and Jonathan Haidt and the people that support this organization,
Right.
make no mistake, these are lefty people. They are not conservative. They are either lefty or libertarian. So give it a look. The link is in the show notes. Have a good time.
Yeah, I just looked to see if there was any of the universities that I've gone to are on this list, and they are not within the top 150. But there is one that is local to me that is number 44. So my local university has that, or is in the top one. But they also have they're pretty much on the cutting edge of things right now.
Right.
In comparison to the school I go to.
It's interesting how they grade them out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting.
And I like the idea that this group of people from the academy have put forward is, you know, they say, I believe that university life requires that people with diverse viewpoints and perspectives encounter each other in an environment where they feel free to speak up and challenge each other. That is important, and that was a cornerstone of my education. I argued with professors, with teachers, with other students. Friends, I still argue with. We have different opinions, and I think even on this cast, in our follow-ups and after the cast, and our sometimes that we have different viewpoints, but we challenge each other, and I think it works and it makes sense. And I couldn't imagine a world where kids going to school today have one opinion espoused to them, and that's really all they have. And if they take a viewpoint that differs from that, they could have their academic livelihood then damaged, getting left in class. You know?
Yeah, I have. I've seen what that can do to people, and also seen it progress. All growing up and as the youngest one here on the cast, this is very much a thing that needs to be addressed, because you get into university and the people that you meet freshman year, their viewpoints, they'll come in with all these different viewpoints and all these different perspectives on life and all this fun stuff, and you learn from that. That makes you at least in my experience, that made me start to question myself in a good way, and question the things that I had been, or my viewpoints, and seeing like, well, does this work for this viewpoint, or what does this happen in, or how does this relate to other viewpoints? And then by like sophomore, junior year, those viewpoints of those people are just completely gone. They just have one singular viewpoint. And that is not a thing that I want to see happen to people. And I've seen it happen when I was in elementary school, and when I left the public school system, I saw that happen with a lot of my friends that were still going to public schools and private schools and stuff like that. And I was out of any sort of system. I was homeschooled all throughout middle school and up until my junior year of high school. And it's just, yeah, what everything that Ricky's saying is, and what this what Heterodox Academy is saying is completely true. This is in my experience, at least.
Yeah. They have some pretty interesting statistics on that site in terms of how things changed from the 90s when they took a poll of, I think in the 80s, I think they started when they polled professors and they asked even what they would vote for, policies that they would vote for, presidents or politicians. And at one point, it was one conservative to every 4 in the liberal arts. And now it's something like 1 to every 80.
Yeah, it's
on the business side, they had about an even, it was pretty even between conservatives and liberals within the business side of things. And now that gap is divided to like 1 in 20. 1 conservative for every type of 20.
Oh, by the way, Ricky, I think you sent $5, so there you go.
Oh wait, I'm not even looking at the screen. I'm kidding.
What's up?
Oh, that was beautiful. That came from another podcast. People were giving out super chats to get the presenters to do stupid shit. I thought it was funny. Well, good.
Sorry. Go ahead.
There's a couple of us on here that are old farts, and we're not going to be able to affect young minds as much as you might be able to, Caprico.
Sorry, can you say that again? You were breaking up.
I was saying that some of us on here, especially old men like Charles, we don't have the capacity to touch young minds maybe like you do. We do our best, and especially, kind of with this show and with our other, other things that we do in the course of a day or our career, that you and, your kin, the people like you, have a responsibility then to make sure that you push this information and push it in the best possible way. I have definitely noticed something akin to a red pill overdose, where people have become, you heard the term, they've been red pilled, right?
Yeah.
Where they're so red pilled that they think now everything is falling apart. And maybe it is, but shit was like this in the 90s. People felt the same way. Maybe not to this extent, but it was very similar. Political correctness was at an all-time high in the 90s. There was always a culture war going on. So people have been addicted to this outrage culture. And if they get an idea of there are universities out there for them that can help them get different, diverse viewpoints, no matter what aisle, what viewpoint they hold. That's important. How would you like to go to a place that always enforced this what you thought? You'd be goddamn riding high because you'd think, hell, I'm exactly right about everything.
Yeah,
it's like I've got the world figured out, and that's a scary place to be in.
Yeah, that was interesting enough. That was one of the reasons why I stopped going to church on a regular basis, because I started to see that same sort of mindset start to happen, where everyone was putting themselves up on like pedestals and shit like that, and I was just done with it. And everyone just had one viewpoint. I'm like, well, no, you can have multiple viewpoints. It's whatever. But yeah, for us to present it in a way right now for my generation, I don't think it's or feasible is a good word for this. I don't think it's feasible for a general shift in thinking to be accepting of viewpoints, as you've probably can see on social media. My generation's kind of just you can only think like this, and if you don't think like this, you're a terrible person. That seems to be like the way.
Yeah. What generation do you belong to, by the way? Are you a millennial? Are you a part of the millennial generation?
I'm technically a Gen Z. I'm the first of the Gen Z, or one of the first of the Gen Z.
Back me up if I'm wrong, Adrian. I think Gen Z is the most conservative.
I've seen things thrown out there. I don't know how much true, and I haven't looked into the veracity of it. I've seen the statement made. I don't know if it's true.
Okay.
I hope it's true. But I don't know.
To be the most conservative of any generation since the 20s, it doesn't take a large number. It's like 20% of the population of Gen Z. So you're part of the older version of Gen Z.
Yeah, I'm at the leading edge.
Okay, and you could be, by the time the younger Gen Z gets around, change can happen. Change can happen in a generation, for sure. Yeah. A generation is only 20 years. So take that for what it is. But I think you guys, and my entire point before moving on to the next topic line here was that you are closer to the young minds than we are. Mm-hmm. We can talk about it, but who wants to hear from rambling old men?
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that I've seen that's worked to kind of institute more change, whether it was just pushing, and a lot of times I do this with my friends, and specifically on viewpoints of, I don't sit there and say that someone's viewpoint is wrong. I sit there, listen to their viewpoint, see what I can figure out about their viewpoint. How does it relate to my own? What are the differences? And are these differences something that will cause an issue, or is it something that I can figure out a compromise for in a professional setting, at least?
Isn't that weird that that's considered special in a way?
It's not weird. It's sad.
Yeah,
to me.
That's another way. That's a way to put it.
To me, it's sad. You put me on the spot, and now I'm trying to think of all of the things. So
please don't.
Yeah.
The only point is, we've talked a lot tonight about helping younger people out. Mm-hmm. Me and Jack spent an awful lot of time talking about it last night. Charles and I have talked about it in the past. It's something that we all consider to be very important, especially young men. Because I think young men have lost their way. Young men get shit on these days in a way I have never seen in my lifetime.
People who try to give some advice to help him, like Jordan B. Peterson. He gets, oh man, people are massively attacking his ass in the media.
Oh yeah.
What he says to me seems pretty non-controversial, all things considered.
Clean your room, and all of a sudden that makes him Hitler. Yeah, the way that they go after the man.
He's coming to Louisville. I kind of want to go to his event, but I don't know what tickets to buy that I'm too cheap to buy, so I can get him to sign a stuffed lobster for me.
Me too. I looked up one of his events, and it was something like $1,200.
Oh, they're way cheaper here, but I don't know if it would include a meet and greet. No, actually, I know the ones the meet and greet are more like 300 or something. I'm like, I'm too cheap.
It may be because I was going late. I don't remember, but I was like, nah, I'm not doing it.
The cheaper seats I could get for like, I don't know, 30, 50. But anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, I think because we can talk about this all day and nothing will happen. The thing that both my generation and generations after, and you guys that are in industry and other people that are in industry, just giving young people the resources and the opportunities to excel in fields that they're actually passionate about is going to be the key later on, or the key to us progressing. And I've done as much as I can with the resources that I've had to do that in terms of teaching people my own age and people that are younger than me, and teaching freshmen and even people that are way older than me about InfoSec and just a student group where I would just have weekly talks and weekly demos and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So
communism.
Awesome doing that, man.
Yeah, so just I think if for you guys, and I know, and I think I know what the context was for with you and Ricky, or I'm assuming I know, or I'm assuming one context. Putting programs together and also having industry professionals work with those kids and getting them up to speed on things, and especially in areas where most of them are troubled areas and also with troubled individuals.
Yep.
And it goes back to what we were saying before when we were talking about just the mental health stuff and the thing. Just helping them out learn, like, how to use Bash or something like that. Just how do you use a computer? How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you communicate with people? How do you get a job interview? How do you act in a job interview? How do you write a resume? Like, all of that stuff.
Sure, and a lot of it is there's not a lot of organizations just for boys and men anymore. They're becoming fewer and fewer. We saw Boy Scouts of America recently change.
Does the Diana initiative? We should start the KL, or wait, no, it's the Clark initiative. Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Wait, Clark or KL? Do you want to go with his Christonian name, or do you want to go with his Earth name?
Kalel. Yeah.
Kale?
Kalel, yeah.
Okay, because Diane, was that actually Wonder Woman's name on the island of Themyscira?
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Oh, it was, okay. So I guess KL initiative would be appropriate. All right.
So
Kal-El, yeah.
Jack and I grew up in similar circumstances. He was more country than I was, but we grew up in poverty, and we knew a lot of kids growing up that either died or did not become successful. I knew a lot of smart kids that just by virtue of them not having opportunity, they weren't able to move forward. So they became very angry people. And when people talk about toxic masculinity, they're talking about men in general now. That's a real thing.
So I'm pretty fucking broadly. People say, "Oh no, they're not talking about masculine in general. They're just talking about toxic." No, they pretty much every person I ever see use the term.
Yep.
It's pretty general.
yeah, it is a general stamp on men that men should lose their masculinity, and they are. Men are becoming, well, the studies are still sort of out there, but it looks like it's trending that men are becoming more and more weak and docile as time goes on, and there's going to be outliers, and those outliers are going to be super aggressive. And it's the super aggressive people that we were talking about reaching out to, not just in InfoSec, but in general. And trying to help rein that in some ways. And, I went to the school called Charles Dickens. This was at a time when busing was in place. Busing was, there was some shit that happened before I was born. And they did some block busting where they would separate communities of people based on race and color and all that kind of shit. And horrible.
That was done with the New Deal, actually.
So yeah, like block busting and stuff like that. So cities became split up. So when I was little, they did this thing called busing, where they thought they would ship kids of one nationality to a district of a community of another nationality, and take those kids from that nationality and put them over in this one, and it was a clusterfuck. Basically, you had like, I don't know, there was 20 white kids in the entire Cleveland school district, and the rest of us was Puerto Ricans and blacks, and the white kids got shipped over to the east side of our city, which is predominantly black. It was no different from them, and probably worse off for them overall.
All right, guys, wait a second. I'm creating a parody account. Let's talk about, argue this with me. Clark Initiative or KL Initiative? Because the KL has a dash in it. It looks a little weird. You put Clark Initiative or KL Initiative?
Clark is cool and fine. I mean, you could do Kel is KALEL and not put the dash, but Clark is fine too. I mean, that's what he likes to be known as.
Okay.
But they did busing, and kids got left behind, and kids got frustrated, and the kids that were shipped to certain areas, they didn't have the opportunity as other kids, as much opportunity as other kids, and it became a bad thing because some of these kids were extremely bright, and they gave up. They gave up because they didn't see a way out. And because they didn't see a way out, they went the route of, okay, I can make money doing this. I can make money selling drugs, or I can make money doing this, or I've got to get in the game, because if I don't get in the game, then I'm left exposed. And it created a bunch of men who were attracted to crime based solely on their inability to have another choice. And that choice doesn't mean, by no means am I saying that everybody has or needs the opportunity to become rich. But they should have the opportunity to have men around to help guide them. And no one in my neighborhood had a dad around. Not a single, not a single one. It was all moms. There was no one teaching the young men how to become men, except for other kids. So that's what we were talking about last night. And and it kind of bled over to kind of InfoSec, and people that are getting into InfoSec are generally they're smart kids. Sometimes they may have social disorders. There's a lot of depression that's in the IT industry and InfoSec. A lot of mental illness and things like that. And we talked about how would we what could we do to better that? We see girls putting forth efforts in creating Girls Who Code, in which they're trying to attract women into technology, which is great. But we're not doing anything for the men. We're not trying to help them, become better men, or to adapt easier. And we're certainly not looking at the inner cities and things like that, and taking the smart kids from there and setting them up with computers and shit like that, and saying, "Hey, go at it. Here, this is how you do this X, Y, and Z." Make them feel like they've got a chance, a fighting chance. And anyway, I don't want to go too much into it. I think we spent more than enough time talking about it, but
yeah, we can talk more about it in the post.
We'll go through the last topic, and it's kind of a funny science fiction-y one, where Google has now tackled AI principles. So they effectively took Isaac Asimov's.
Yes.
So this is sort of like their "Don't be evil," right? Their "Don't be evil" phrase, and they now have principles for guiding AI development. And
like, don't make drones for the military that blow people up.
Yeah.
Well, or what if they don't do that, and what if another company does it but not so well, and now these drones are blowing up more innocent people than need be?
Or what if, say, theoretically, let's say, for example, the drones wind up being trained on material that turns them into psychopaths, maybe intentionally.
Yes.
Because that's never happened before, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's what a lot of top minds think is going to happen. Is you get sort of like what was that Avengers movie?
Ultron, Age of Ultron,
where they have a command like protect the Earth, and they don't know what that means. Protect the Earth. Well, I see humans as the top threat, so I'm going to go after humans. That kind of shit.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, a lot of smart people that are worried about what could become of AI. And look, we're so early in AI stages that being concerned about personality and consciousness and how do we treat them, the Westworld type of syndrome, where you use and abuse them and they retain some memories, and then you had the Han Solo movie in which the droid seemed to be. Some people say it was a humorous attempt. Others say it was legitimate.
I think you're meaning Rogue One with.
No.
Oh no.
This was Han Solo, where the droid said she wanted equal rights. This is the Han Solo movie.
Yeah, fucking that shit up.
All droids' lives matter, kind of deal. And it's interesting because it's science fiction-y.
Mm-hmm.
But people in the future are going to have to deal with something like this if we don't fuck ourselves up before then.
Yeah, and
we've had Terminator. We've got stuff like Westworld. We've got all
Black
kinds
Mirror.
of different examples of science fiction that says this is how badly it could go. And
I think the best representation of AI in terms of how we can, in science fiction, for how we treat robots, or in the future, it'll probably be more towards Android type of systems, is the Alien franchise.
So I'd like to point something important out. Everybody's panicking about, oh my god, AI and all that shit. You do know China doesn't have any of these concerns because they never grew up with this stuff, right?
I don't. I'd like to take account of hands if people are legitimately worried about this on this podcast. There are a few very smart people that aren't in the AI field that are concerned about this. And not a lot of other people are.
Mm-hmm. I personally think because AI was actually why I got into computers, specifically in programming and later on into InfoSec. That was kind of like the first spot for me. It was kind of how do I, like, that's super cool. Like, I want to be a part of building that, and what does that take for me to build that? And when I was looking at it, the resources weren't really there, and now since I'm in it, I'm seeing more and more of like deep learning, machine learning, and all that fun artificial intelligence kind of stuff.
Right.
And I feel like if we do it correctly, and I agree that we should be thinking about the what can happen, or what could go wrong. What's our worst case scenario? What are our threats? What are threats to if we have something, if we build something like this? What is the overall worst outcome that can happen from this? I'm okay with that. That I'm generally a cynic, so that's totally fine with me.
When
But-
you make medicine, and when you make you introduce new predators to an environment, these things are thought about. What's the worst case scenario? Because you don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it will be something that will happen regardless of it, because that just seems to be the general mindset of the AI field and the general populace in general, which is why people are worried about this. They're worried about being replaced, and
That's the big one. Right? They're not worried about alien robots going God mode and wiping us out. They're worried about replacement.
Yeah, because a computer. I was watching. What's the name of the robot? I was doing research into the AI robot that was given citizenship by Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Bicentennial Man, the movie with Robin Williams.
I like that movie. That movie's good.
Isn't it
Yeah.
awesome?
I like it. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm in real world. There was a robot that was given citizenship in Saudi Arabia, and one of the one of the things that she said is that she wants to destroy all humans.
Wait, she?
Yeah, it's
Is she allowed to
as a
drive?
she.
Is she allowed to drive?
Can you say that again? You broke up a little bit there.
Is she allowed to drive by herself without an escort?
I don't know. I don't want to get into that. But anyway, it was just interesting to me on like how she worked and stuff like that. And she's almost fully animatronic.
Animatronic.
Can you
Yeah.
post a picture of her somewhere?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find her again. She has a name.
There's a couple of them that I've seen, like from China, and
Those ones are weird.
the uncanny valley that goes along with it.
Yeah.
There was that lesbian couple that were they created a role for one of them, and I can't remember which one of the couple was the one that was going to have the memories implanted in it, but it was weird as shit. It was like a documentary that this couple was looking to create a robot to implant the memories of one of the lesbian couples into a robot, and the robot was just weird as fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now I have a picture of, and the robot's name is Sophia. Is what the company that built her called her, and that is what she looks like. And they have yet to give her hair.
Oh, well then it's not a woman.
Yeah.
It looks like oh, you know who it looks like?
Hmm.
It looks like sort of a manly David Hogg.
Oh shit.
Ah,
Wait, it looks like Rachel Maddow.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. That was
No, it's okay.
that was mean of me.
Oh man, I posted there was a website where I posted an image about I said something about what is the lady's name? She's an NRA spokeswoman. I can't remember her name.
Dana Lash.
I said Dana Lash at 38 looks better than Rachel Maddow at 18, and the picture I used for Rachel Maddow was David Hogg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of lefties pissed at me.
That was something you posted on Twitter, wasn't it?
I posted a couple places, but yeah, I definitely posted it on Twitter.
Yeah, that was funny as hell.
I'm an asshole, but I'm a lovable asshole.
You know what? It's you wouldn't be considered an asshole if this was 10 years ago. You would be considered, making some, not even really an edgy joke.
Yeah. So. Yeah, for me with AI, I'm just like, yeah, it's inevitable. We're already seeing it integrated in our phones with OK Google or with Google Assistant and Siri and Cortana, even though those are very rudimentary, or even Alexa and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
it's very rudimentary. So we're gonna.
I looked at this. Product from Endgame. They have an endpoint product, and they've got this AI chatbot called Artemis, and you can give it commands to run like an analyst. You could say stuff like, tell me all network connections, this endpoint sent in the last 24 hours, and it'll pull it all up for you. You just tell it, in simple language, and it goes out and pulls all this back for you.
Nice.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, and I think even if stuff goes, stuff will go haywire. That's just inevitable. We're humans. We're imperfect, and we're making machines that could potentially do a lot of bad things. And we have to always bear in mind that we aren't perfect beings, therefore we can't make something that is perfect and will work in the exact way that we want it to. Try writing anyone who's written code knows that.
Writing code that doesn't fuck up in some way.
Yeah.
Have bugs in it and whatever. Yeah. Yeah, there'll be issues. Somebody mentioned in chat that there were people asking for rights for the Boston Dynamic robots. And if you watch those things, they are scary as fuck.
Yeah, stopbotabuse.com.
I don't know if they'll take the website or not, but I believe this man 100% that people have asked for rights for those people. Those
I'm sure.
Those people, those machines.
Stop the robot abuse. Yeah, one of the guys in chat. Sorry, dude. I'm gonna butcher your name. Slavko Samovich. Vic. Sorry, I'm butchering your name. He posted up stoprobotabuse.com, which I'll bring that up. Oh, they're just showing pictures of him kicking. Sorry. I'll share the screen. This actually cracks me up a little bit in a kind of weird maniacal way. So the website is, the first thing that it shows is a image of one of the Boston Dynamics robots getting kicked, and this is their logo. And then it just has a ton of videos of the robots getting kicked and pushed around and stuff like that. That's funny.
Oh, I remember seeing talking to Ricard, he posted on one of his meme media account way back when, someone doing that, and the robots are all getting along, and then all of a sudden the robots are like, all right, fuck it, we're going Terminator 2 on this shit.
Yeah. Hey, we're sick of you removing our agency. We have the ability to make our own decisions, and they're gonna go up and fuck up Bernie Sanders.
Oh my gosh. Just this excerpt. This is a very shocking case. We are seeing torture. Yes, torture. This poor tired robot is clearly being held captive in a dark, empty cellar to confuse and destabilize it. It is repeatedly being pushed over, even though it clearly can't defend itself and doesn't know how to make it stop. This is too much. This is cruel. This has to stop now.
Okay, I will bet money that is a onion-like website.
A Poe.
A Poe for sure. Yeah.
They even have, they have ASCII art.
Yeah. That's probably what makes you that would even convince me further that it's a Poe.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny though.
Do you yeah, I think this is kind of fake. It says, do you find this? It says right at the bottom, but seriously, stop actual animal abuse.
Uh-huh.
And then it links out to ASPCA to report animal cruelty. So
There you go.
it's a joke, but
I think that stop animal cruelty.
Yeah.
I only kick my dog once a day anymore. I've had enough of the beatings, and I said, no, once a day kicking them is fine.
Yeah.
If we had a lot of listeners, I'd be in so much trouble right now for saying that.
Probably.
And it's completely in jest.
Yeah. All right.
All
Sure
right,
it
guys,
is.
I'm sending something to the chat. Take a look at this thing. I look like an okay profile.
Kal-El Initiative. Nice. Nice. I'll share my screen and what I'm like. It looks great.
It's beautiful. That's a gorgeous one.
Secure.
I love that, dude.
Security. Oh my god, that's amazing.
That is awesome.
I will follow this.
Bender talks to my kryptonite. I think that's going to be my first tweet. What do you think? What should be the first tweet be?
I don't know. I can think of some stupid ones like
Well, my first stupid one is like Bender talks to my kryptonite because I hate Bender talk.
yeah.
I'm
good
going
one.
to hear better ideas.
Let me see if I can find a good Superman quote that
Men need heroes too.
no.
No, I know that's a dumb one. I have a whole bunch of dumb ones that I can think
Yeah, the
about.
great quotes I know come from Marvel because I was a Marvel Comics fan. But
Yeah,
you know,
there's
the Peter Parker initiative doesn't make as much sense in parody. Because with great power comes great responsibility is my number one Marvel quote, of course.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's Marvel, not DC, so it doesn't make as much sense.
We can have another one, another account that will follow this one that could be Thor's hammer. The Thor holding his hammer, and he's putting the hammer down on equality inside of InfoSec or something stupid.
Here, yeah, let's see. Here we go. Here's a perfect one for what the Kal-El initiative will be. This is a quote from a Superman comic. I don't know which one. It's not listed, but it says, "I believe in second chances. I believe in redemption, but mostly I believe in my friend." No, that's wrong. Never mind.
Oh my goodness.
You can goddamn customize that.
But mostly
Yeah.
I believe in attribution.
Oh, I
Nice.
like that.
There you go. Now we got it.
I don't know. Send me what you think.
Yeah.
I can't follow it first because everybody will know it's me, though.
Hold on one second.
And also, anybody watches the fucking feed on this. I'm an asshole.
I followed it first.
Talking on the computer. Why?
Oh, I didn't know you were on the phone.
I'm on the computer.
You had said something, and I said what, and you never said it.
Okay. Done.
What is that?
That would be Charles.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm here.
I thought someone was like having a video playing in the background. Never mind.
Oh, that was my daughter's toy.
You know, what about the old Batman quote? Something like, "Not the hero we deserve, but the hero we need," or whatever the fuck that quote is.
I'm not the hero Gotham. I'm the hero Gotham deserves, not the hero Gotham needs, not the one it needs right now.
Yeah, something like in terms of infosec.
I'm the hero that the world. I'm. God, that line is just It's just so hard to say. For me, anyway.
I'm the hero infosec deserves, not the hero it needs.
How about this quote? Sometimes I could be too happy for the people in InfoSec.
No.
That's just your profile description.
Oh my God.
How about you had this coming? Wake up and smell the ashes.
All right, if I want to make like a parody account of Charles, I'd have to choose like Steel or Blue Marvel, maybe. Super happy all the time.
Angry BSD bandit.
Angry BSD.
Yeah, I've never seen him angry though. That's the thing.
No.
Exactly. That's why it's a parody account.
Angry BSD bandit.
Bizarro BSD. Bizarro BSD bandit.
You guys don't remember him getting pissed off? He's been pissed off a couple times on this podcast.
I have.
Or after the party. I can't remember if it was on the podcast or after party, but there was a couple of times where things got a little heated.
Who got heated though? If that's crazy. You know what's funny?
No.
If it did,
Let's say
I don't even remember it. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Not terrible, but you know.
It was no. You were really passionate about something. I can't remember what it was. And
you know what it was?
Coming out. Yeah.
I know what it was. Because, well, two things. One thing, when I found out my coworker was a convicted felon and he's working convicted felon for embezzlement money, but he's still working with our government clients. And I felt some kind of way about that.
Yeah. That might have been it.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I remember you were super passionate about something. I can't remember.
It was that because I felt like here this guy go making an insane salary, doing what he does, and did what he did with the embezzlement and still working. Half my friends can't even get a job, and it's stuff they got in trouble for when they was 15.
Yeah, that's I don't know, man.
I was passionate about that one, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
That's something that someone should be passionate about.
Because here's the thing. I look at it this way. I work for a security company. And in security, our job is we should always be that trusted, you know what I mean? Like, companies trust us to secure their data. That's the goal. Should be the goal. And I hold that to a high regards.
Yeah.
I treat it as if like I was being a police officer and I was sworn into duty, or military, I was sworn into the military or whatnot. I treat security like that because we have a responsibility to help the innocent or the people who can't. We're protection for the people who can't protect themselves.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
And all the other things.
We do things for people who can't do anything for us.
Right.
In that aspect. But yeah, so yeah, when it comes to security, that's why like I was talking about earlier when I said I said if I said hackers, then I misquoted, but I mean like just tech in general. Like we could be the definition. We can be, even though there's bad people everywhere, the ones that are good, the ones that are thinking positive, can try to set a different example or live a different example. You know what I mean? That's what we were talking about earlier, as not just saying, like you said, there's good and bad in every industry, but I was just looking at us as a standpoint where we're living examples, like each and every morning I try to wake up. I wake up and I try to say something positive to someone else. Even if they can't do anything for me, I try to make sure I have something positive to say for someone else.
That's as people lose faith and lose religion, they're going to need something moral to cling on to somehow, somewhere, some community. And that can be it. If enough people do that, it can be it. You don't need to believe in a higher power. You don't need to believe in a magic dude in the sky. But communities are important for humans.
Yes, and human being perspective, yes.
And morality is important. And you have to define it in a certain way. I'm not comfortable defining morality as, straight people. I'm not comfortable in defining morality as people that don't take drugs, that kind of stuff. Morality to me is people that act in a way is good and honest and with integrity.
Yeah. Like I want, and again, I'm done. I got my headphones. I just want and to your point, and like I said, of course, there's no perfect world. There's no perfect anything, but, and again, sometimes I come to the, I look at the world through, I guess, rosy glasses, or whatever the saying is, rose-colored glasses.
Rose-colored glasses.
Yeah. And I try to see it for what it could be sometimes. And sometimes it gets me in trouble, and not for what it really is. And, and the only reason I say in tech, because that's the industry that I'm in. I don't understand any other industry. So for me personally, if I can, like you said, help other people that are coming in, or help someone who's trying to make a switch, who's already in the industry, but trying to make a switch, be that relatable person that people can, just, ask questions, and, we can all learn from each other. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, what? InfoSec, Wade Wilson initiative would have been funnier.
Oh, yeah. InfoSec.
Wade Wilson.
InfoSec. Charles, I get 100% of what you are talking about. And what Jack and I was talking about is even extending that further to young kids. And that's why the elementary school that I went to, that's still impoverished and very low income, and I build computers and take it over to the young kids there. And when I have time, because I also volunteer for a school for people on the autistic spectrum. So I only have a little bit of time to do it, but it's important to me to go, and I take old computer parts that I can get and build get over these people. And that's not sainthood. And
no,
doing anything that other people wouldn't do. But at least these kids have an idea of what a computer looks like on the inside, and they help me build them and things like that. And I think that's pretty cool for them.
Right. And I mean, and you'd be surprised, man, how many kids really enjoy that. Be like, man, you know what? This is something I'm really interested in. I can probably take this to the next level, or I can change the world, you know? And
what's funny is one of the kids that we helped out 10 years ago. He is now at Ohio State taking computer science. And
that's what I'm talking about.
This is a kid from the east side of Cleveland that had a single mom. His dad was killed in a gang-related shootout. So I'm not saying I helped him with that. That kid had spirit and heart and was able to overcome all the shit that had happened to him.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that I at least helped him spark a fire and figure out what he wanted to do with his life.
Yeah.
So
that's important. Yeah.
Me and Jack went heavy on that. And that's why it took until 8 o'clock in the morning.
But I love it, man, because that's what it's about. You know, just get it to that point, man, and just, you know, give it, you know, me, you know, like I said, giving back and trying to help others, you know.
Yeah, and it sounds wicked. I know how it sounds to maybe people that listen in, or they haven't been there before or whatever. It does sound, I don't know. It sounds sort of weird. I can see an outsider looking in and going, who the fuck do these guys think they are?
You know what? Again, you know who we think we are? Cool.
That's just you, man.
I feel cool. I feel happy. I feel alive. Like, I just feel like it's every day's an adventure.
You know what?
You
got the Avengers. God damn it.
Hey, I'll take that. I'll take that. Digital Avengers. I'll take that. I will take it with an S on my chest. Okay? I'll take that.
How about Digital Justice League? Because that was the
Digital
whole
Justice League.
Yeah. League of Security League. No, that sounds
the Justice League. I'm Superman.
I know one thing. I know one thing. I am. I'm broken.
You could be Wonder Woman. No, you're Aquaman.
No.
No, man. You know, I just.
Howie could be the Wonder Twins.
That's what I was going to say. Jack is one of the Wonder Twins.
Oh my goodness.
Adrian's the Martian.
Can I just be Dr. Evil?
Yeah, I'm the DC universe. I don't know much about the DC universe, but Martian Manhunter, he's like Superman level powers, but he's scared of fire. Shit.
Yeah, he's the first. He's one of the characters that's supposed to show PTSD through comics. Because the reason that he's scared of fire was because Mars was attacked. In his origin story, Mars was attacked and burned down, and so that's that's his.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm just gonna call myself broken, meaning that, hence the name Broken Sack. But I'm just gonna call myself broken, which means bright, resourceful, optimistic, kind, enthusiastic nerd.
Nice.
So I I will wear that on the chin. Right now, I'm just waking up. I got to reach out to what's the name. I reached out to what's the name about the logo, and it could be a basic logo. It doesn't have to be anything like insanely crazy. And tell me what you think of it as the logo. I was looking at with the two hands with broken Ethernet cable. Well, each end is hanging down in the hand. Each end of the Ethernet cable is hanging down in each hand. So it's a broken cable, but it's
broken connection. Yeah.
Yeah, broken connection. So
nice.
That was my thought for the logo for Broken Sec.
Yeah. Did you reach out to the guy or?
Yeah. He said, and he stated that he pretty much can hack something together. It's not really professional, but I mean, either way, that's fine. You know, and then we can grow later. You know.
Yeah.
Just something basic still.
Was that my guy that I
I think so. What was your guy's name again? Because there's so many people.
It's Max.
No, it wasn't Max.
Okay.
This is somebody totally different. Okay. So I gotta reach out to is Max on Discord?
No, but I can get you his information after the podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, man.
He's the one who did my new logo, which is on the screen.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, you definitely, man. Yeah, send me his info. We get that rocking. You know, that way.
And he's definitely willing to help.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, Broken Sec again. The kid, podcast that. Cause I want to bring back the feeling. The purpose of Broken Sec, because I want to bring back the feeling of how Tech TV was with the screensavers and everything else. We're actually helping people, who have problems in tech in general. And anything else, it could be something. We'll talk about some more interesting subjects that people want to know about, and then like different tips and tricks. Because I did a binge watch of all my old Tech TV episodes that I've downloaded and put in AVI format. I just had it running in the background, but it was, if you look at that show, the concept of that show, it was extremely helpful. And it's like we just don't have anything like that anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Should.
So I just want to kind of bring that feeling back in the form of a podcast.
Yeah, especially if we can get user input or not user.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like
community input.
Community input. Yeah, just like hey, and for anyone that's like promoting anyone that's trying to They probably wrote a book or anything else. Maybe get them on for interviews.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, what inspired you to write this book? This book is pretty cool. Just anything tech related. Hardcore. Even with conferences, conference recap or something like that. I'm throwing out ideas.
Charles,
Ricky, yes, sir.
So here was something Jack and I we talked about a little bit. We were talking about the podcast as well. I didn't know if you were still down for the podcast, but my thought was later on that this could move to the road. So we could go to a campsite or to a community center and broadcast the podcast with kids, not kids, young men.
I know, yeah, young men, yeah.
And sort of do this break fix type thing, set up, as many PCs as we can get donated or buy or build, or I'm sorry, not build, but work with the kids to build them.
I'm with that too. And here's another idea too to throw out there too. I can get a ton of like Raspberry Pi Zeros. Maybe that could be something to practice coding on. I mean, it's not much, but it's something that they can take with them too.
Sure. Yep. So we talked a lot about topics and stuff like that, and I didn't want to be as narrow as saying we're going to talk security.
Oh no! Tech in general.
And it would be that this would be like we do here, a riff. where the broad topic is technology and security, but we also talk about other types of events. And this isn't obviously a competition with, it's not, it would be a spawn from Adrian's channel in which this would be just a podcast. It wouldn't be a video thing. It would just be released to the podcast world where maybe 10 people listen to it. But I think it would be kind of cool to do like and we can even do this with Irongeek cast.
Yeah.
If we wanted to. They do camping they do sec in the woods or whatever the fuck.
No, Hack's on a farm.
Yeah.
Hack's on a farm. Yeah. I mean, that's
woods.
Yeah, but
yeah. Hackers fucking in the woods. Can you imagine?
Campfire confessions. Yeah.
Can you imagine putting an event together where we get a community center and we get like 15, 20, junior high school kids, and we all bring donated parts and shit like that, and raspberry pies, and again, this would have to be. We can end the podcast. I'm sorry, we're talking while we're still fucking live.
We're still live.
And the people are like,
But anyway,
We're in the cast for the time being.
Hmm?
We're in the cast.
It's
Yeah.
live, yeah.
it's your show, man.
Folks, catch you all on Wednesday. Have a good day, and we'll talk a little bit for a while after.